Hey everyone, welcome to episode 48 of the Bonehead Podcast, where we talk all things Blood Bowl. Welcome back, and once again, I'm joined by Blood Tithe Ben.
Hello, hello.
Hello, mate. How are you?
I'm really good. If you're watching this on video, I'm not on camera, and that's because I look like hot garbage because the UK has decided it's going to be, 100 degrees today.
It has been ridiculous the last few days. On the plus side, it's going to be 22 and cloudy tomorrow. So the weekend that just goes back to muggy in English terms. Yeah. Which is fine.
We've probably got listeners in Spain or Italy saying oh, you have no idea.
Oh, dude, it's the guys from Australia I feel for who can't leave their miniatures in their car because they melt, which is just horrid.
I think all my Blood Bowl teams are in my car at the moment.
Dude,
they'd be toast.
I did this with Ian Triplo, did some 3D prints, and I bumped into him at Entoyment. He said, hey, if I meet you in Entoyment, would you run these to Ian and Rich? And I dropped stuff off around Ian's, but didn't get a chance to go down to Richard's and left it in my car. And it got really hot for a couple of days. And I was so worried. that the 3D prints would go all soggy. Fortunately, it's all good. So it's fine. So clearly that's not something to worry about. Is that right? Are we okay to leave 3D printed stuff in cars, Ben?
Well, the plastic, at least, like the stuff that Ian's using. I mean, I know the melting point of that is around 190 degrees. So if your car's getting to that level,
it's going to catch fire anyway.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. That's good. I was so worried. I was sat in my office and I was like, oh no. Everyone kept moaning about it being really hot. And I was like, yeah, I know. And then it kind of twigged. I was like, oh, this is going to be a problem. Unfortunately, all my Blood Bowl stuff is either in storage or in my lounge waiting to go into storage. So I'm okay. There's no toys in my car for the first time in a very long time. Actually, that's not entirely true. The first issue of Mortal Realms is still in my boot because I got excited.
Just gaining value.
Yeah, just gaining value. No, it's just I just want to paint it, but I haven't got the chance. Anyway, Ben, episode 48. What are we talking about today?
So we're going to have another Bonehead Basics, this time on Skaven.
Oh, yeah.
And we'll talk about their inducements as well, and the usual games and hobby.
I am excited for this. So with our Bonehead Basics, we talk through, you guys know this by now, we're for episode 48, but, we talk through the team, we talk through league, we talk through tournaments, and we've been waiting to redo some of the originals because we thought, well, actually, when the Spike comes out, it'd be great for us to talk through the Spike. Well, you know what? A Spike did come out. It was Old World Alliance, and we are still waiting for the Snotling one. So a couple of the listeners said, when are you going to do Skaven? And I thought, well, I don't mind Skaven. Let's give it a go. So it boosted up the schedule. And Ben, we're going to be talking a load of Skaven stuff today. So I'm going to be very excitable.
Yes. Let's do
Yes.
it.
Right. Okay, first things first, though. Let's bounce on to news. Okay, it's news time. And, there's actually some cool stuff to talk through this time. So, first up, we've got Norba Miniatures, which I think posted just in the Blood Bowl community earlier today. And, we had a cheeky look before the episode at some of the stuff they do. But the things we want to talk about are these first 4 knights of the Bretonnian team. And, I mean, are you looking at the pictures of the Bretonnian knights there, Ben?
Yes, I am. They're really good.
Okay, so we've got 4 independently posed knight miniatures. One looks like he's taking a running kick. There's a couple punching. There's one guy clearly blitzing. The detail is not insane. The poses are pretty basic, but quite frankly, you need that for Blood Bowl.
Yeah, and I think there's enough for a miniature because often I think Games Workshop set the bar with just cramming detail on miniatures, and sometimes you kind of want a little bit there. These look perfect for painting, honestly.
They really do. They really do. So they've got the classic Bretonnian sugarloaf helms. They've got a cheeky bit of mail. You've got the big garbs that you can paint. They're kind of like a tabard look, and all their helms. They've got great helms. There's a griffin. There's a lion. There's some 2 griffins. And some wings, and they've all got a football, an American football on there holding it, where there'd normally be a shield or something. So it's really cool. This is a Blood Bowl team, and you know what? there is a couple of pretty good Bretonnian teams out there, but they are quite pricey, and they are you know how third party teams have either gone 25 mil, the same as the old Blood Bowl stuff, or they've gone a clone of the Games Workshop current style, if possible, or they've got their own kind of 35 mil length. So Rick from Club, he's got the Dark Elves, that is it Succubus or something, Willy miniatures. They look taller than the Games Workshop stuff. They're just a bit taller and a bit thinner. They look more like the Marvel miniatures that are out than the Blood Bowl miniatures.
Yes.
These look like Blood Bowl scale, Blood Bowl physique, actual Bretonnians. And I tell you what, I love Bretonnians in sevens, and I am just waiting for an opportunity to pick up a team of Bretonnians, and this is it. And the most exciting thing is that currently they're teasing, saying there's going to be a Kickstarter for this. 16 miniatures for €25. And
That's insane.
Right, I immediately said to Ben, well, this is STLs, surely. That's not bad.
Yeah,
it's not the best. But it's not bad at all. And actually, I think Drew Creedy did put in the comments, is this STLs? But we had a look at their website, and they make plastic miniatures, guys.
Pretty nice ones as well.
Can I bounce over? And so I had a look at the Norba Miniatures webpage and had a look around. They've got some fantasy miniatures. They've got some Lord of the Rings rip-off miniatures. And the prices are amazing. So there's some Knights of the Royal Guard, which are knights with halberds and pole arms. And that's €16 for 10 guys.
Yeah, that's so good.
So let's scale that up a bit. 15 guys, you could say, would be €24. They're saying 16 for 25 at Kickstarter price.
Yeah, all individual as well.
This is actual plastic. This could be a team here, a third-party team for under £30.
It really does set a kind of bar, doesn't it?
That these guys could be swooping in with an absolute winner here, especially if the Blood Bowl team works for humans as well. Because, dude, I've got a couple of human teams. I don't need a couple of human teams. I certainly don't need one more human team, but I do absolutely need a team that works both for Bretonnians and humans. It's really cool. So keep an eye out for Norba Miniatures. We will keep you updated. And I did joke to Ben saying I'll pick up a pack of these so that we can check out the scale and the production quality. And I'm going to be picking up some Knights of the Royal Guard. Yeah. All right, fair enough. Maybe I didn't hide that quite as much as I should have done. But the Knights of the Royal Guard are pretty sweet. And if the Blood Bowl miniatures come out looking like this, I am going to be very excited about this.
Yeah, me too. Definitely pick up a pack.
Pick up a pack today, maybe. But hey, it's I think they teased that the Kickstarter was coming September time, so I would be surprised if we didn't see more information coming up soon. So that was Norba Miniatures. So keep an eye out for their Bretonnian stuff. And the other thing we are going to talk about, we talked about it a couple of times now because Akaro have done a really good job getting the information out there for their Insect Bowl. So this is a Bug's Life meets Blood Bowl, really. And yeah, the Kickstarter is live. They've set a target of £3,600, and they're at 800 at the moment, and they've got 9 days to go. So when you're listening to this, has only got a couple of days left because this episode goes out on the 8th, and the goal is Monday the 10th. So if you're listening to this and you haven't already decided that you need an insect team, it's there for you. I mean, I thought it was worthwhile just have a look at the price. The Early Bird Insect Bowl Football Fantasy is £54. You've got 4 blitzers, 2 throwers, 2 runners, 2 models of positionals, 6 models of lines, and 1 big guy. So what's that? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 17 miniatures and all the stretch goals for £54. And the blitzers have got this kind of... I suppose it's a cricket or a locust kind of vibe. We've seen, I think, the ladybug, and I think we saw the wasp. The blitzers actually look really cool.
Yeah, I like that. It does remind me again of like the the evil crickets in Bugfly.
Yeah. Oh my god, that's absolutely what it's been inspired by. But if
Yeah.
you if you've got kids who are a fan of that kind of thing and you want to get them into Blood Bowl, this might not be a terrible way to do it. The Blitzers 1 through 4, you know what? They could paint up really well, and you could use them because they look like Geonosians, I think, from Star Wars as well.
Power, you know?
Yeah. Vespids from Tau. The rest of it is pretty cartoony. The big guy's not bad. That would work as a standard tree. It's a stick bug. Oh, and then you've got the coloured renders. So the coloured renders don't help.
They're bright. They're bright.
They have been well sculpted, and I will say that it is a stylized approach. They look better executed than the Shark team.
Yes.
But the Shark team had a kind of second edition charm. I do like the big guy, I think. But and again, apparently I have a big guy problem where I just get excited at the prospect of chucking a big dude on a pitch or multiple big dudes on a pitch. And the tree man works. Oh, there is another tree man. An alternative one, which, hey, look at that. This Kickstarter has released more trees than Games Workshop in a much smaller window. And they got some cool guys. They got the wizards cool. They got some centaurs, which are some bugs, some slugs. What else?
You do get a lot, actually. You do get a lot for £54.
You do. It's just depending on whether you want it or not. I actually like some of the bug miniatures. They look pretty cool.
Yeah.
And you know what? With a decent paint job, that it wasn't massively cartoony. I think this would be really cool to play against on a pitch.
Yeah, it would.
It's not for me, shall we say?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can agree.
Okay, next up on the news is something I forgot to actually put in the show notes, Ben. But if we go and have a look at Winzor Chog, he has shown some previews of a new model, but he went back and added a bunch more detail to this Dryad. So he's been working on a Dryad, which looks like it would be prime for Willow Rosebark, really. Can we make this full screen? Let's click that button and see if this comes up on our recording. Yeah, it does. And he's added loads more detail. So the wood has now, like the wood of the legs, it's now got a wood finish. You've got wood grain. You've got knots in it. There's a vine around the arm now. There's sort of blossoms in the hair. This has gone from a model that looked just fine before it had the special detail to now this looks like something that would be really fun to paint.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this because especially as like we kind of saw the early version, didn't he? Where he said he's not going to do too much to this. And we thought,
yeah,
I think he should do a bit more to it. And then he came around like a day later.
It was like, yeah, finished it off and it added a little bit of texture.
It's phenomenal.
And it has absolutely gone from just a bit cartoony and bland. And honestly, because of the proportions, it was the first time we've seen something from Winzor that was kind of a bit, it's a bit too cliche. But actually, the execution is brilliant. And now you've got this forest spirit. And depending on the size, I can see it being strength 4. I can see it being Willow.
Yeah, and I think it's pretty flexible because being a tree, they tend to be stronger anyway. Like tree men are quite small anyway, but they have the extra strength.
Absolutely. I think it's hey, you know me, I'm going to be picking up this and we'll do a cheeky unboxing. Definitely. The Minotaur was incredibly fun to paint. In fact, every model I've got from Winzor Chog has been great fun to paint. So I think I'm looking forward to actually painting this using techniques, like actually trying to blend, trying to highlight this, because this looks like a model that would finish really well. But also, if you're a contrast paint kind of guy, 20 minutes, you've got a very serviceable Willow Rosebark. But for the love of goodness, base your models.
Cool. I think you put it really well with Winzor Chog, actually. His models, he definitely designs them with painting in mind, I feel.
They're artist models. They're for Blood Bowl, but they are. You can tell he just loves sculpting and loves sculpting stuff that he wants. There's no release schedule. He's not going after anything. It's just, I fancied making a hippogriff today. I fancied making a Minotaur. And because he's doing it in a way that he just enjoys himself, they come out really well, and the production quality is superb. The print quality and the casting quality is honestly second to none in the world of resin, I think.
Yeah, agreed.
And that definitely helps. You got check out Winzor Chog. I think we finally run out of the Bonehead discount codes, which is a bit of a shame, but just support a great company that is genuinely producing probably more Blood Bowl miniatures than Games Workshop at the moment. And I am a little bit bitter about that, but let's talk about Games Workshop a bit. So what have we got from Games Workshop Blood Bowl wise recently? We had the OWA, we had the Old World Alliance released. We did a show about that, didn't we, Ben?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah,
we did.
I couldn't remember.
We had a couple of games.
Oh, I remember the games from the stream. That was cool. So we did a show about the Old World Alliance and the changes to Underworld. And we're still waiting on the Snotlings. And it's going... I'm getting edgy for the Snotlings. We're waiting on the trees. We're waiting on the Snotlings. And every Sunday, I get excited. I'm like, don't worry, guys. We haven't had Blood Bowl stuff for a while. This is going to be it. And hey, we're recording this on a Friday. Mm-hmm. So we got a couple of days left. You never know, Ben. This Sunday could be our time. This could be some Blood Bowl releases or some Blood Bowl previews. Hey.
It's the week after Indomitus. It's calmed down now.
Yeah.
It's Snotling time.
I mean, you guys did say that it's going to be a case of Blood Bowl is second to 40k, which is fair enough on an actual earner point of view. And you kind of, every time I said on a Sunday, I was like, here we go, it's going to be this weekend. You're like, not until 40k's dropped. Not until 40k's dropped. Well, you know what, Ben? 40k has dropped. So this weekend, let's have some Blood Bowl releases, even if it's just the trees. And I've got loads of trees now, but I will pick up the trees just to support Blood Bowl from Games Workshop. And I'm up for the trees, but I am definitely up for the Snotlings.
Yeah, same. I just really want to paint them. I keep looking at them and just like, just give me these tiny models. I want to abuse them.
Hey, there's that element. They look so much fun, but also I'm really excited to find out what the rules are going to be.
Definitely.
That's the exciting bit for me, anyway. But
first new team in decades. It's great.
I mean, Old World Alliance kind of snuck in there, but it's definitely a hybrid with no new positionals. But this is going to be something really spectacular, I think. It will be underwhelming and underpowered, but it will be unique, and unique is good because more Blood Bowl is more better. And talking about more Blood Bowl, we've got a couple of bits from us now. Just want to remind you that Mega Bowl is in 3 months' time on the 31st of October. This should be our first tabletop tournament since Beachhead in February. Obviously, due to the lockdown, we cancelled Bonehead Bowl, we cancelled Sewer Bowl Sevens. We had a spot booked for Tombstone, but we're actually going to take all the prizes and all the fun and pile it together into one big event. And you can take mixed teams, you can take horror teams, you can take normal teams. But there's going to be 2 games of Blood Bowl 11s and 2 games of 7s with your roster. The rules pack should be out by the time this episode airs. I know I've put a couple of drafts out in our Discord and some guys are giving some really cool feedback. I'm really excited about the rules. It is not going to be a hyper-competitive tournament. It is not going to be NAF ranked. It is going to be there for people who have been gagging to play something ridiculous and go and have a great day with a load of prizes and just have a really fun time playing Blood Bowl. And I don't care if 6 people turn up or 50. It's going to be so much fun. And I cannot wait. And I'm gutted that you are on holiday, in theory, Ben?
Yeah, I will be in Thailand if all goes well and travelling is still allowed. I've had that holiday booked, so hopefully I can still go. If not, I guess I'm mega bowling.
Exactly. Well, this is, I guess, a good time to say that the UK has been coming out of lockdown and that Entoyment were going to be running a 40k event. So Entoyment is a game shop and pool that supported us brilliantly. They host all of our events and they help us out with pre-releases and things. And they are just a really good retailer, really good local gaming shop, and do a great service on the web, which is wonderful. And they're now 20% off Games Workshop, so they're as competitive as anything else. So if you want to support the show, support Entoyment and let them know that we sent you there. But yeah, I don't like to shill very often in that regard, but they are they're a really great bunch. They really help us make content, and that's fun. We like that. But Yeah, they're supposed to have a 40k event this weekend, and they're supposed to be trying out ways of social distancing and making things good. I mean, we talked about the last episode, we talked about the first Blood Bowl tournament that we've heard of that's been run. But with the UK kind of having a little bit of a relapse at the moment, I don't know how that's going to shape up, because obviously the north of the country has been thrust into lockdown again, essentially, and a lot of the changes that were going live this week have been cancelled or delayed for a couple of weeks, which has upset Tiff because she was planning on getting her eyebrows done, and now she can't. I know, she's very sad about this. She was so excited. She was like, I'm going to get my eyebrows done on Wednesday, and then Boris Johnson rocked up and said, due to health and safety reasons, which which makes sense, but we could be in for another tough time. So hopefully this is just a minor blip, and everybody will be safe, and the country can play some games safely at the end of the year. However, we are prepared for it to not happen. So we're planning on having that day in person at Entoyment, playing some Blood Bowl. But we're going to have a Fumble warm-up event the month beforehand. So starting around about the beginning of October, I'll get the info out towards the end of August, and it really is just going to be to make sure that we have a lot of Blood Bowl fun. And you know what, it will be really cool to play a Fumble event and then go into the tournament, because you actually get a way to play test your teams, to see some of the other teams that are going to be available at the event, and just hopefully it will be a really cool way to lead into it. And then if the event itself does not happen, we will have an all-day Fumble tournament just available, so that you people who've booked that day to play Blood Bowl, like myself, can still play Blood Bowl all day long, which would be really, really, really cool. So we've got that, and I think by now I've caught up with Rob, and we've announced the really, really cool and something that's very new for us, competition in cohorts with Secret Carnage, which is a Blood Bowl short story writing competition. So
it's insane.
I'm so excited about this. Rob, you guys know Rob, friend of the podcast, Rob from Secret Carnage, is big on background for Blood Bowl, big on the fluff, big on story. He's got a wonderful personal relationship with writing and reading when it comes to literacy. I think it's something that he's very passionate about, because he didn't get to enjoy it much as a kid. So now he's older and he's got kids of himself, he really, really, really loves to encourage people to read and write and make stories. So he's really passionate about this, and he ran a fluff competition for, I think it was for either Secret Carnage or North Wales Carnage Cup, where he got some Black Library authors to do a bit of judging, and he's working very hard to try and make the same thing happen for this. But let me give you a quick lowdown. I'm sure that if Rob's nailed it all down, this will have been released properly by the time this podcast comes out. If not, then stay tuned. But we're planning on running it from the beginning of August to the very end of September, so 2 months. We're looking at about 3,000 words, but we're not going to hold you to it, and it needs to be reasonably family friendly as far as Blood Bowl goes, and it just needs to be about Blood Bowl, and it can be about a player, it can be about a game, it can be about a backstory, it can be about your team. Really, it's just to encourage everybody to get out there and practice some writing and build a story. And we're going to have some cool prizes lined up. I can't right now confirm the big prize, because it's not nailed down, but what we're shooting for is a custom pitch from Maelstrom Gaming Mats. So the top prize is hopefully going to be, you get to design with Jack from Maelstrom a full Blood Bowl pitch of your own with your design and everything, which I think is a really cool thing. Imagine that. Imagine having, this is the pitch I want for doing a short story for Blood Bowl. That's such a cool way of doing it. So that's what we're aiming for. I just need to make sure that it's all nailed down. So you would probably already heard whether it's a yes or a no, but if not, we'll be doing some cool prizes. And the other thing that we'd really, really, really like to do is, and this is, you may hate it, it may be rubbish, and it may be not something you're interested in, but for the winner, we'd like to do a narrated version. Just to do an audio, not necessarily an audio drama, but an audio reading, an audio version of your story. Because I am so passionate about books and stories, but I'm also really, really, really passionate about audiobooks and podcasts. Who knew? And I'd love to do a audio production version of the winner's short story. I think it'd be great fun. It might be garbage, but that's another thing we'd like to do for a winner or some of the winners.
Hey, actually,
yeah,
Will Wheaton does really good audiobooks, so you know, living in his footsteps there again.
You know, I heard that he's done the narration for Ready Player One.
Yeah, I read that. That was really good.
It's in my Audible queue actually. But yes, okay, so guys out there listening, I'm sure you've figured this out already. You may even be one of the people that's messaged me saying, "Did you know you look a little bit like Will Wheaton, or you remind me of Will Wheaton?" I had this kid at work the other week. He was like, "Ben, anyone told you look like Will Wheaton?" And I'm like, "Brilliant, thank you ever so much." He was like, "Don't you have a board game YouTube channel as well?" I'm like, "Thank you very, very, very much. This is fun."
Should just roll with it. Yeah,
yeah, I know. So I am Will Wheaton's less prestigious British cousin, apparently.
Yeah, love it.
But yes, that's what's occurring with that. But on the world of Fumble, the sign-ups have already gone, and we should be well into week 1 of Summer Sorcery. And we've got loads of Fumble stuff lined up for the rest of time because we just don't know what Blood Bowl's going to be like. I mean, Ben, are you going to be playing in the Summer Sorcery?
Yeah, hopefully. I need to get my team all together.
Hey, so do I.
Yeah.
So do I. I'm really tempted by Tzeentch, but someone else has taken a Tzeentch team. So I might try something else. There is a Minotaur team, which is pretty Ben, I think.
That's you all over that.
Yeah, I mean, I like to play stunty league teams because it's quite good fun and you don't get a chance to play them, and it means that someone is going to get a load of casualties, which is fun for the event. But I do like the idea of a 4 or 5 Minotaur team just steamrolling around, having a terrible time. Yeah, I might go for that one. How about you? Any secret teams take your fancy? Because I know you're a secret team lover now.
Yeah, I'm tempted, to try the other Khorne team, the secret Khorne team, just to see how it compares. But I'm kind of against it because it's Summer Sorcery, and it seems wrong to take Khorne in a sorcery-themed tournament.
Well,
or, on the other hand, you could show him,
he's there to kill the wizards.
Exactly, yeah.
Your Khorne team is there to take out the wizards.
Yeah, I'll have a think, but it might be that one.
That's a really cool looking roster, actually. I think those chunky Chaos Warriors starting with Frenzy, everybody starting with Frenzy, it's going to be solidly not tier 1, not like the Slanesh team you just ran, but it will definitely do some murdering, and that's not bad at all.
Yeah. Who can complain?
Well, we're kind of straying into games here, so let's take a quick break and come back with Hobby. Okay, hobby and games. Ben, let's start with you. What have you been painting? What have you been playing?
I've been painting quite a lot. Last weekend, I thought, I'll try this little challenge with a couple of mates. I brought it up, but I watch a lot of like hobbyists on YouTube and Twitch and stuff like that. And recently, in sort of that crowd, a lot of them are doing 24-hour painting challenges, and they're saying how difficult it is and how draining it is. And I thought, it can't be that bad. So I asked a couple of friends saying, "Do you want to paint for 24 hours?" And surprisingly, they all said yes. I really didn't expect it. Yeah, so we went on Discord and just powered through it. And yeah, we pretty much all did it. Only me and one other friend managed the full 24 hours. A couple of the others had to get some sleep. But you know what? If you want to get an army pretty much done in a day, that's the way to do it. It's crazy how fast you can power through things with just a bit of challenge.
So what do you think it is then? Is it the challenge, or is it the fact that you have set time aside, or is it kind of pseudo hanging out with your friends?
I think the hanging out is a big thing. I don't know if I could just do it on my own, looking back on it, because it was quite cool that we were all just there. Like occasionally we'd like dip in, dip out, just if you get a bit of too much time with one person. But no, it was like, yeah, I don't know. It was just really motivating to have a group kind of doing this one challenge thing. I really want to do it again. It's really addictive.
1K in one day.
Pretty much, yeah. That was what it was.
No, well, next time I'll be up for joining in with that, I think.
Yeah, I'll do a little Bonehead one. Get some Blood Bowl teams finally done.
Now
I'm sure we have a backlog.
Yeah, I think the 24 teams in 24 hours. That would be
You nearly did that for sevens, right?
It felt that way. It really did. It really did. No, it was only 4 teams. That was about 4 hours. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe it could be done. Maybe it could be done. Next time we do a charity drive, there we go. We'll do that.
Wow.
Now, how did you get these models that you painted then, Ben?
These were all printed. It was a fully 3D printed Chaos Dwarf army for Age of Sigmar for the Legions of Asgore, which I think are the Forge World army.
Yeah, they were some cool looking models. The fire snakes you did were really cool.
Yeah, they're my favourite.
Was it heavy airbrush army or?
Yeah, a lot of it, which kind of really killed my airbrush, which is annoying. But yeah, the pretty much all of it was airbrushed, and then the troops were just finished off with a brush. But
I love how
like
you said
that helps.
You killed the airbrush. What did you get in the post today, Ben?
Yeah, that was a new airbrush.
Sorry.
We don't have to publicly call out my gear acquisition syndrome.
I don't know, man. If you're a machine, you need spare parts, and being able to print your own army and then paint it in 24 hours, that's a hobby dream. That is a hobby dream come true. Really, really nicely done.
Yes, indeed. Thank you.
Now, talking of posts, you and I both got some posts in the way of the FANAF team. So you guys may have seen put a YouTube unboxing out there, and I don't know. You've got yours now, Ben. I was lucky mine came a few days earlier. And what do you think to the team?
I'm pretty impressed. I was really taken aback by the material. I will say that.
Right. What do you mean by that, and why?
So we both ordered resin. For me, intentionally, I think you wanted metal, but ordered the wrong one. Is that right?
I clicked the wrong box. It's fine. I'm okay with it.
Yeah, it's really weird. It feels more like a rubber. I don't know if you found the same.
Yes,
but it's quite soft and flexible.
I think this is why. I don't know. It didn't feel that flexible to me. It looked flexible. That's why I think when I was describing it, I said the detail looks a bit soft. I mean, the detail is there. It just, I don't know. It's just, whatever they've made it with looks halfway between resin and 3D printed material. It's got that kind of element of
looks.
The look
feel very different
around the edge. It's got that pale.
Yes.
Like the very tips of stuff are pale. They're almost not necessarily translucent, but on the way. Yeah, really weird material. But I mean, it feels solid enough. The detail is absolutely there.
I feel like it's really not going to chip because of it, because it's so soft.
Yeah.
I think it's going to have the opposite effect of metal, which is good.
Don't you think the team that the models have got? I think they've got so much character. But it's fun character. I mean, the Snotlings that are coming actually fit the same kind of like. This is a fun team. Like I can paint these in bold colours, and this is just going to suit really well. And I'm really excited to paint them. I built the Death Roller. The Death Roller is just awesome.
Yeah, I bought him today actually.
You can pick it up for €15 or whatever. It's just
it's really good for a death roller. It's
I don't know.
One of the best death rollers I've seen, to be honest.
I think it is the best death roller I've seen. I mean, the Games Workshop one is a beast. That's like 40 quid, and it's like a monster, and would barely fit on a giant base, let alone a 32mm base. But this one fits brilliantly. It suits the character. It looks like the old Warhammer stuff. And I don't know. I love the fact that they've got sports helmets. They look straight out of Dungeon Bowl. And it's so good. And I was really impressed with my FANAF Frog team. And I've been so impressed with this. Ever since they first showed the first digital sculpts of the Dwarf team, I was excited for this. And now we've got it. I'm moving house. So I don't have a lot of hobby time, which is an absolute killer because I'm so excited to paint up this Dwarf team, which is a sentence I didn't think I'd ever say. Because I've been trying to paint up a Sevens team. And I think I'm just going to sack that off and use these instead.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because these
painting them up is the most fun you can have with a dwarf team.
I did get called out for that for our YouTube video of the last. Is it the YouTube? Yeah, of the last one when we talk about stunty secret league teams, and I said, there's even fun dwarf teams, and a couple of people, including Craig Nash, were like, "Whoa, let's not go too far. Let's not go too far." But no, these guys don't look like
Sevens. They're not the same monsters, so.
They are not, and that's why I wanted to include them. But I think people want to see the OWA in Sevens instead. But anyway, unless this lockdown situation clears up, we're not going to be filming that for YouTube for a little while yet. So we've got a bit of time. We can
paint it all together. How about that? Do that.
Oh, there
if
you
get
go.
some time, we'll do that.
Yeah, well, I'm planning on chilling out on Sunday night and doing some hobby if you're around for another hobby stream.
Yeah, I think I might have a family barbecue with the in-laws, but
that'd be lovely. You can talk about cheese and be late to the show again.
That's usually what happens. Yeah.
Every time Ben's late for a Discord thing with Ian's like, "You late talking about cheese again, Ben?"
Yeah.
Bless. I think it's amazing. So you've painted an entire army. You've had some post. You've printed some cool stuff. You printed me a giant, which is dude. That's like so good. Thank you.
No, I'm really disappointed because I thought on an episode on Bonehead Basics Skaven, there could not be a mention of that word. And we're only
by printing me a giant, you've set me up for a failure. I can't not say. Like, should I redact that? Should I just bleep it out? That's going to confuse a load of people. Just bleep out the giants. One of the listener questions for Skaven is, actually, was it giants or was it wizards? I don't know. I feel like I'm guilty for everything. Oh, there we go. Ian Triplow. Should you take a wizard? All right, not a giant. I would definitely take a giant on a Skaven team. But, I think that's just, I don't know, depending on whether you want to win a lot or just a little. I don't know. We'll talk about that in a bit. So I did get a chance to do a little bit more on the Minotaur. We did it on the stream. That was cool. I've been doing some hobby hangout streams. It's been a busy week. I've been packing up the house and everything and decorating our new, where we're headed next. And that's been real life hobby, I suppose. Got the Fanath team, got to play with those, and what have I got in the post recently? I'm not sure if I've got any more Blood Bowl stuff in the post. I'm excited to see this Winzor Chog thing. I'm excited for him to release that, so I can buy that. But I'm just waiting for something to buy Blood Bowl wise. Which is
come on, Games Workshop.
Yeah, I know, Games Workshop. Oh, this Bretonnian team is looking.
Yeah,
that's something I would be very excited to buy and paint. That's definitely going on the hobby list. Do you know what else is on my hobby list at the moment? We've had some really, really, really good entries for the wizard and spell competition.
Oh yeah.
There's some good ones for endless spells as well. So actual using models of the spell or the wizard on the pitch, and this was kind of fulfilling my dreams of adding new models to a Blood Bowl team. So I'm really excited to go through those. We'll be going through those next episode, and there's some great stuff. Man, we've had a great year for listener design stuff, haven't we? We started off with giants. That was really strong. The big guy one was brilliant as well. And this spells one, Games Workshop, if they're going to listen to anything that we say ever, it's going to be us talking through our listeners' ideas for spells, because they know what they want. And I think there's some overpowered stuff, because that's fine. But I don't think Games Workshop are that afraid of overpowered stuff. We want more spells, and this is definitely a route we're taking.
Yeah, I'm really grateful as well. Like I think something that really excites me with this is, and other things that we've done in the past, is like usually my ritual is I get into bed, I look at these and I start reading them, and it just gets me so excited to hobby for like the next day or like talk about the game. It just honestly, it's fantastic reading all of them.
Oh, this is the problem, and this is the problem with looking at the Secret League teams as well. There's just a way to incorporate almost any miniature into Blood Bowl. I feel like that's like my crusade. Is to try and find the best way. I mean, we even had one guy design a tank giant this year, didn't we, Ben?
Oh, yeah.
Actually, we had two guys design a tank. You did the Lehman Russ.
Well,
and I think we had like a goblin tank entry as well.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man. We definitely need tanks in Blood Bowl. That would just be the most Ben thing imaginable. I'd just be so happy. Just giant tanks in Blood Bowl. Giant tank Blood Bowl. Oh man, that's a game I'd play. Right.
Voice narrated giant. Yeah, okay, Karen, yeah.
All right, hobby wise, that is it for me. Got any games in, Ben?
No games. It's just sort of waiting for the Summer Sorcery, really.
Oh man, I had a big I had a really big fumble match, a big fumble win actually. In the A Zombie BL League. Hopefully, I should have my next game on Tuesday against Monic, which is really cool, Monic B. But played this game and I snuck out the win, and it went very, very, very well. I ended up winning 2-0 in the end, and I got the first strength up on a zombie. I have now got the only strength 4 zombie in this all zombie league. Like,
You're unstoppable.
Oh, it's so good. Somebody else has got an Edge 3 zombie, which I can't remember.
Pretty good.
I can't remember if it's Matt's BBL or whether it's Eric, but somebody's got an Edge 3 zombie. Which, I don't know, I think a strength 4 zombie is better than an Edge 3 zombie.
Oh, yeah.
But only time will tell. So I'm at 2 wins and a draw so far, so I'm second place in the league. And it is just so much fun. I mean, we've talked about limited leagues before. And in fact, another one of the listener questions was about, like, is there such a thing as a Skaven league? And we'll talk about that a little bit more in the next segment. But that's the cool thing about Fumble, is that you can squeeze in an hour every 2 weeks and you can play something special, something that you wouldn't normally play. For example, a crazy Bonehead Fumble tournament, or just getting together with a bunch of guys who are all as mad as you are and playing some kind of limited format of Blood Bowl. And just it's helping with my positioning. Let me put it that way. I think if I pick up Kemri, or when my Vortice team arrives, I've learned some stuff about Edge 2.
Richard's a bit of a Kemri master, isn't he? You might be able to give him a run for his money.
Yeah, he's played some really good games. He's played some very solid games of that. We've got to watch a few actually because he streamed them on that, which is really, really, really cool. Right, talking of things that are cool and Edge 2, there's no Edge 2 on Skaven teams. There's Edge 4. So let's go have a look. Let's go talk Skaven. I have a very clear set of teams that are my favourite teams in Blood Bowl. And Skaven and Ogres are 2 of my top, I'm going to say top 3, so that there's a wildcard slot so that I can ramble on and chuck in another team there at some point. But I love Ogres because Noblars are just the best player type. But one of the top best player types is the Gutter Runner. And if you want Gutter Runners, well, I suppose you've got Underworld now, which is exciting, Gutter World. But the Skaven team is just one of the most powerful teams without being a dirty Wood Elf player that you can run. I think in my ranking of Blood Bowl teams, Skaven are right up there. I think they're tier 1 in every way, and they've got bash, they've got dash, and they've got quite a lot of toolkit. They are a really interesting team. It plays differently than every other team. It's got vulnerabilities that are it really has vulnerabilities, but overall it is a solid team.
I think when you play them, your games and the way you play that, like you say, it's very uniquely Skaven.
Yeah, there's definitely a Skaven way to play, and there are different tactics with it. You can run a bash team rather than a dash team, but it will not be as good. So I think that's the other reason I love the Skaven team, is because you can do just ridiculous things. You can play solid Blood Bowl with them, and you can take on the tier 2 challenge and drop all the Gutter Runners, or take a Rat Ogre Blitzer build where there's no Edge 4, you're just smash mouthing through with really interesting linemen. Movement 7 on your lineman means that this is probably the fastest team in the game. Bar Wood Elves.
Definitely.
Bar Wood Elves. And it's just a really cool team. So Skaven are the Ratmen team, and it's time for Bonehead Basics. And I'm excited for this one. So Ben, you've played against Skaven, you've played with Skaven, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And that's
had a few games both.
That's in league and tournament.
Yes, yeah. Haven't played too much in league. But played against them plenty.
Have I not played you with my Skaven team in league?
No, I've played against them in league. Played with them in league, not as much. Yeah.
Fine. Yeah, well, you were doing some tournament training ready for Bournemouth Bowl at Level Up, weren't you?
Exactly.
Just before the lockdown, which is sad, but it does mean you've got some Blood Bowl experience there with the Skaven team, and I love Skaven. Skaven are my try-hard team, I think, is probably the way to put it. Is when I want to win, or when I want to play and really compete, Skaven are the team I go with. And I've got a reasonable record. My league team is up there with regards
your
to
stats?
win percentage. I actually haven't. I should probably brew them up. Let's have a look at the Never Bay Nightmares. I've even got a mug with my my team's logo on. That's how pro Skaven I am. Right, Never Bay Nightmares. There we go. This is the Wobble. This is my Wobble team. I haven't got the picture up on screen. Right, I am 23 wins, 7 losses, and 5 draws, for a win percentage of 65.71%. And this is the right. I'm going to read my stats now because I'm just so proud of this team. Touchdowns for 90, touchdowns against 50. So I've got a plus 40 touchdown differential.
Obscene.
Which is I'm pretty happy with that. Over a total of 35 games, that means I've got +1, which is pretty good. Kills 242 against. We haven't tracked kills until the last season, so I think many more players have died than that. Casualties 43. That's mostly down to Buzz Justice, my star blitzer. Casualties against 83. That's mostly down to every Skaven player I've ever given kick or guard. It's very, very, very sad. So a minus 40 casualty difference. And I think that sums up Skaven, that my casualty is plus 40. My casualty is minus 40, but my touchdown is plus 40. And I cannot think of a more Skaven analog than the fact that you will sacrifice a player for a touchdown every single time.
Even in the lore and in Warhammer, they're like the epitome of glass cannon.
Oh, absolutely. And they've just got people that you're happy to send to die for the win. So I've got a couple of absolute beautiful players. And one of them did die. One of my Edge 5 Leap Wrestle Dauntless Jump Up Gutter Runners did die. Queef Bitternest. 33 touchdowns. I've got a couple of move 10 guys as well. That's such a good team. Oh, I miss these guys. And Buzz.
You've got to have a couple of movement 10.
Yeah, what are you doing if not? And Buzz Justice, Mighty Blow, Frenzy Claw, Tackle, my Blitzer. 24 casualties all in. Oh, he's only 12 points away from the next level up. Ooh,
wow, probably the final one, isn't it?
No. Yeah.
Oh no. Okay.
Yeah, he's got 2 more. In fact, one of my gutter runners is only 1 SPP away from leveling up. He's movement 10, sprint, and sure feet at the moment. Oh man, I cannot wait to get back to club and bust out the Never Bay Nightmares. Anyway, I got sidetracked looking at my Skaven team. So let's talk Skaven. So what we're going to do, we're going to do the classic Bonehead Basics thing here. We're going to break down the player types. We're going to talk about how to develop them in League. We're going to talk through some standard League builds, some League tactics, and some tournament stuff. Then we're going to take a little break and we're going to come back and talk about inducements and listener questions, because we did put this out in all the social media channels and said, guys, what do you want to know about Skaven? And we've got some really cool ones, including in Triplos, do you take a wizard? And so more on that later. So let's start at the very, very, very beginning. We've got linemen, 0 to 16, Skaven linemen, 50k each, which is a bargain, 7337, and no skills with normal, just general, but mutations on a double, which is pretty cool thing. This entire team gets mutation on a double. Nothing special on the single, but they do have that, so bear that in mind. That another wonderful thing about the Skaven team is that you can have very unique players, and you can get that mutation in there, which is really, really sweet. So Skaven linemen, they are not the best, but they can absolutely do stuff. Ben, you've played Pact, haven't you? Renegades, Chaos Renegades. Yeah. Yes. The Skaven lineman in a Renegades team is a pretty good pretty good piece, isn't he?
Yeah, you say they're not great. I think they're probably my favorite linemen. And I'm saying that because they're so cheap for like a fast unit.
They are cheap. So they're human linemen with 1 less armor and 1 more movement. I guess for me, the reason I say that they're not great is because of how you use them in the Skaven list. I think if you've got these as a position, or your team is all Skaven linemen, which I don't think would be a terrible team if you were doing an all lineman league. There's one for the list as well, Ben. An all lineman league. Because they go on the line, because you've got your gutter runners, you've got your blitzers, and you've got your throwers or thrower. And you do not want those guys on the line, really, because they will take a kick in. and you need to keep them alive. So your linemen go on the line, and they go on the line to die. That armor 7, the fact they don't come with block or anything like that, they don't have a strength advantage, they are easy targets, and you are willing to sell your linemen to keep the rest of your team alive. And that is probably the most apparent vulnerability of the Skaven team. Like you said, Ben, they're a glass cannon. The Skaven team's vulnerability is attrition. Their positionals aren't that expensive, but if you want a full lineup of cool stuff, you're going to have 11 players to start with in a league. And even at a tournament, you're only probably going to have 12 or 13. And when you're putting strength 3, armor 7, skillless linemen on the line, you're going to lose a couple. And then as you lose those players, you end up having to use your skilled pieces on the line, which reduces your flexibility. Fortunately, Skaven can easily score with 7 players on the pitch. Easily.
Yeah, and I think that's why I like them so much, because like once you've got that initial bash out of the way and taken that, like I don't know, I kind of value movement a little bit over armor, and that's because movement you can use every single turn. Armor comes up every now and then, so that's kind of why I like it. And I think having this movement 7, like you say, if they do survive, which they still will often, not not as much as other teams, but they will. They're just suddenly just going everywhere. And like you say, you can have 5 players. Those 5 players can score really fast.
Yeah, you know what? You are very right. Movement 7. If you are in the middle of the pitch, you can be anywhere in your half. So the throwers, which we'll come to in a second, they're also movement 7. Their catchment area is the entire backfield. It is a 15 square by 15 square radius with a single thrower in your backfield. And having those linemen having movement 7, they can exploit gaps in the line. They can redeploy really quickly. And if you're Ben, you just take those horrible 3+ dodges all of the time. Which
works every time.
Oh my god! For you, it does. It's so stressful. I will dodge with the lineman. I'll roll a blooming 2, he'll die, and his armor will fail, and he'll just catch fire on the pitch every single time. So I don't know, I just have a bad rep with linemen. But let's talk skills. So Ben, for you with Skaven linemen, what's your wish list of skills?
Well, like you say, even though it stresses you out, no, actually no. I would always take block on them. Like, you've got to take block on them. I was going to say, I do like having dodge, but it's harder to get.
Yeah, it is. So on a general, there is no way to not have Skaven linemen on the line. You only get 2 blitzers. So even if you go with a 2 blitzer and a rat ogre build, you're putting all of your fight on the line, and they're just going to get mobbed if you just leave those 3 guys there. So you will always have to put linemen on the line, and them having block or wrestle, it's entirely up to you which way you go with it. I'm a fan on wrestle for linemen.
Yeah, why is that?
Well, you're up against dwarves. The dwarf throws that block. He rolls the block both down. You are much better off going to the ground and taking somebody with you, because no one is going to foul a Skaven lineman. It's just not worth it. They've got the rest of the time to do that. You're going to lose the tackle zones, but those linemen are on the line to literally take up a square and just take some punches. So I like wrestle. I like it for defense as well. You've said they're movement 7. So a lineman with wrestle can still be a reasonable offensive piece, or a defensive piece, really. He can still jump in there and sack that ball carrier. If you get that,
moving as fast as a dwarf normally.
So. He's moving faster than a dwarf. You mean if he stands up?
Yeah,
absolutely. Wrestle is a great skill, and I would probably take more wrestle on linemen than not, because it will protect them on the line. Yeah, it leaves them vulnerable on the ground, but if they've got nothing better than to foul a lineman, you know what, that lineman was just going to get passed around and destroyed on the line anyway. It works better against blocking linemen, I think, because it just trumps them. Like, it's much more of a nuisance for someone's blocking Black Orc or their dwarf blocker to block you and then them both be prone than it is for your guy to be left standing for their next player to take another block at you.
Yeah, very true. And being a nuisance is very Skaven. So
it's very Skaven. However, the very first skill you should give your lineman for Skaven, it just is kick.
Oh, of course.
It's got
Why didn't I say
to
this?
be kick. Honestly, I thought I'd set you up for it.
Yeah, I'm honestly just disappointed in myself.
I was expecting, it's like printing me a giant and expecting me not to say giant. It's right. Kick for Skaven is so important. I say it's important. You can do just fine without it, but if you want to unlock your team's potential, being able to control where that ball's going it's just a recipe for win more. And yeah, it is difficult to level up a Skaven lineman. It really is. They just don't do a lot except get punched. But every now and again, the chosen one will appear, and for the few games before he dies, because eventually your kicker ends up going on that front line, and it's not a good place for your kicker to be. I think I've gone through like 4 kickers in my Skaven League team. It's very sad. But even in a tournament build, taking kick, you can control where that ball goes. And you and I have talked about kick a lot, Ben. It gives you the flexibility. If they're a slow team, you can pin them back right in the corner.
It really, when you're a team with mobility, it's essential, I think. I just think it gives you so much control of the game.
It gives you so much. But also, if they're a fragile team, you can pin that ball really close to the front line. So if they spread out, so against a stunty team, for example, or even dwarves or Khemri, they have to spread their players around to be able to envelop and catch that ball. You can either pin them at the back, and it's going to cost them 3 turns to get it to the line of scrimmage, or you can drop it close to you and just try your very hardest to blitz through and just collect that ball. And I tell you what, if you position well with a kicking player and you roll that sweet 10 blitz, that game is yours. And that is just it's the nut draw. It's so good. So kick will enable just so much control over the game. And I'm going to come back to it. Ben said Skaven are a glass cannon. They're a team that has very little in the way of resilience, but you only need a little opportunity. And you only need a little opportunity and a little bit of luck, and you can just boom, capitalize on it immediately, and kick is just going to double down on that. However, your kicker will die. Your kicker will die. Right.
To get a piece, you can get another one.
Well, eventually, yeah. Fortunately, the MVP rule of pick 3, roll a D3 does help you with that.
It does, yeah.
But trying to get those SPPs on a normal guy can be tricky because you've got some SPP hogs in this team. Right, Ben, doubles, stat ups. What do you think for Skaven linemen?
Yeah, I like I was saying earlier, I love dodge, and that's just because the play style of the team really helps you out with that. Like, I would take dodge on a double on a Skaven. You have the options of mutations, and mutations can be really good. And I think if you have like wrestle, maybe something like horns could be good to give you kind of a sacker.
Horns, 2 heads to give you that +1. Dodge in there.
There's so many good options. They can take it's agility, strength, pass mutate. They can take the lot. So
I think it depends on the build of your team, but linemen, Skaven linemen in particular, can be whatever you want them to be. They're gonna take 2 skills to get there, and if you get 1 double and 1 regular skill, they can become whatever you want. You can make another blitzer out of them. They can get block, and then you can give them another skill that will do something useful. If you get the double, you can go for the mighty block. You can go mighty blow. You can go for claw. If you want them to be dodging around, if you get the double, you can take dodge. You can take 2 heads, which is pseudo dodge, and gives you that +1 agility. You can take disturbing presence just to really, really upset. I mean, disturbing presence and having a guy on the line is really going to support you with that. With a short kick, if you drop that ball near one of your guys, if you've given him disturbing presence, you're gonna have an even better opportunity that ball is going to be left around where it is. Yeah, I agree with you, man. Dodge is good. Guard is very good as well. Yeah. I don't normally recommend putting guard on an edge, on a strength 3 armor 7 piece, but if you're gonna have a guy on the line, having guard isn't bad because it will help protect your other guys. But with movement 7, you've got a mobile guard piece, and your blitzers are really good. And moving 7 around to support your blitzers with guard, you've got another blitzer in the making.
I think especially if you've got a rat ogre as well. I think guard's really handy to have around because frenzy is a thing.
Oh, absolutely, frenzy is definitely a thing, and that will help. So if you get doubles on a lineman, you can really do whatever you want. It is okay, though, to just take the boring way out and go, you know what, I'm just going to give him wrestle or block to make him stay alive and actually be a better offensive piece, or to take that kick because it's going to enable the rest of your team. Now, we talk about this so much when we talk about star players and we talk about inducements. We talk about getting things that will enable your team. Guard does that, kick does that. And yeah, the linemen are there to die on the line. Keeping them alive will help you in numbers, but they have the movement to be special players as well. So yeah, you're going to come to love your linemen, and they're going to be very, very, very sad. When your star gutter runners die, it's going to be sad, but they're gutter runners, they die. When your linemen do special things, you kind of learn to love them a bit more. It's very sad. Right, let's talk some positionals now. So the Skaven Thrower. The Skaven Thrower is 70,7337. So same as a liveman, same movement of 7, which is pretty sweet. Normal agility and pass and sure hands with general and passing access, and ASM for double. So, I mean, in your Skaven list, Ben, are you pro thrower or not?
I love having the thrower. Yeah, I am pro thrower.
I'm a big fan of 1. So
Yes.
it's not quite as divisive as the Orc Thrower. But it is up there because agility 3. Agility 3 with sure hands is just asking for it. But
You're not a fan of this, are you?
well, you know, I'm just cursed for it. I'm just cursed. So, but for 20k more, you get a guy with sure hands. In the build, you do end up with a little bit of money left over. You might as well. Anytime you can upgrade a lineman to a thrower, it's not terrible. I would probably only take 1, and you're not going to be passing very often. But with sure hands and the pass skill, what you do end up finding is that 7 squares of movement followed by a 3 or maybe even 6 square pass, hitting on a 4+ with a reroll or a 3+ with a reroll, can just enable your gutter runners, and you've got 4 gutter runners. But if you can't afford a thrower, or your thrower goes down, or, well, nuffle forbid, you have to put the thrower on the line, your gutter runners do a better job of maneuvering the ball. Agility 4, they pick up the ball on a 2+, they pass it on a 2+, 3+, 4+, 5+. You know, gutter runners, and you've got 4. You can still use a gutter runner to collect the ball while 3 are on the line ready to race up.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I disagree. I think from what I mean, you've played them a lot more than I have, but from my experience, the throw has been really good, and I have made the pass rolls. I think 3+, when you can do the 3+ passes with the reroll.
Yep.
I think they are really good, but you do make a point where often you're just in handoff range anyway with this speed.
Yeah.
But sometimes the gutters are already quite deep. Like you might have been in an advantage where you can really have one move round. And I've done like a 4+ pass for the reroll. Isn't terrible.
It's not 75% chance of success.
Yeah, like you say with this team, you need to really capitalize on the opportunities you're given. And sometimes the opportunity is your thrower has the ball, a gutter runner's in range to score, which isn't difficult to do. And you can just do that pass because you have pass. I think it's a big deal.
Yeah. That's what I mean by if you get the opportunity to take a thrower or 2 throwers potentially instead of a lineman. So if you're doing a standard build for a tournament or something and you get a choice between taking a lineman and 2 fan factor or a second thrower instead, I would probably take the second thrower, because when you've got 2 throwers, movement 7, sure hands, pass, and 4 gutter runners that are just an absolute beast on the pitch, you get so much stretch ability. You get that stretch play is just absolutely there. And you're exactly right. Swooping in with sure hands, even making some 3+, 4+ rolls with a reroll, it gives you that reserve stretch play. But the Skaven Thrower does get dropped quite a lot, because what you end up seeing is you see 3 runners on the line, in the wide zones, either spread or together. I'm a big fan of keeping sort of 3 together and I keep 1 gutter runner back mid pitch and a thrower back sort of a little bit further. That's how I receive the ball. The thrower can then swoop in, pick the ball up, and if it needs to, hand off to the gutter, and the gutter can then swoop up and pass it to the other gutters who are on the line, and you get like a good way of getting a pretty reliable 2-turn touchdown play. Now, we'll talk about actual tactics for teams and whether to kick or receive in a bit, but a thrower with 5 gutter runners gives you so much flexibility, and if you get the opportunity to pick up a second thrower instead, it's not bad. It's not bad at all. Ben's exactly right. So skills for these bad boys, Ben, what are you thinking on a regular? So that's general and passing.
Leader's always nice.
Leader
Leader
is
is always nice.
fantastic. So in most Skaven builds, you're going to end up with 3 rerolls. There is the Rat Ogre heavy Skaven build, which only comes with 2 rerolls. Getting that leader for a 3rd reroll is pretty great. I do not mind having a 4th reroll for a single skill on a thrower. In a tournament, them having access to leader is really important as well, because it can get you that extra reroll. Because even though you're doing a lot of stuff with gutters and you are pushing this team is Blood Bowl with NOS. You're redlining it all the time. You're taking opportunities. You're jumping into places you shouldn't try and jump into. You're trying to grab the ball because it's a 4+ and you feel like you should give it a go. Having that 3rd reroll, having that leader reroll spare as well, just means that you can capitalize on that opportunity and go for their stretch play. Because the gutter runners, Ben's right. You can throw it to them on a 3+, 4+ with a reroll, no problem at all. But you cannot catch with a reroll because they don't come with catch. So that team reroll there to receive the ball, to make that risky block, having that extra reroll is really important. You can get away without it, but it doesn't hurt. So I love leader on a thrower. I think Ben's really, really right there. But you know what? A lot of people are happy with block as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think similar vein to the Orc Thrower, which is quite a popular skill there. It just sort of stops them going down every now and then.
It's that extra bit of protection.
They usually will have the ball at some point in the game, so it does protect you from that.
Yeah, when you've got a sure hands player, it's just too easy. It's just too good an opportunity, especially with movement 7. Other passing skills that could be useful. Accurate isn't terrible.
Mm-hmm.
But one skill I really love on a thrower is kickoff return.
You do like this. Yeah, you introduced me to the Skaven kickoff return play. So.
Well, it gives your thrower essentially movement 10 when you're receiving the kick. And that means you can put your 4th gutter runner on the line, which is going to massively help with whatever you want to achieve, whether you want to go for a spread offense and just have 4 runners deep and then be able to take that stretch or pass play later, or go for the side cage or the launch pad tactic. The more gutter runners you've got loose, the better. And having a cheeky kickoff return skill means that your thrower is going to be able to pick up that ball and still be able to move 3 or 4 squares afterwards and redeploy, which is going to help you with their pass rolls and just help you bring it up. Skaven are all about speed. The attrition ability is really tough. And you've got to score as quickly as you can, really, because your opponent's team, you could be facing against a bash team, and that bash team is going to take turns to walk up the pitch. And at that point, all you have to do is gum up their movement, and they just run out of time. You just clock them because you've got that cheeky quick score, and you can just clock them. So having kickoff return, where you can just enable you to more reliably get that ball quicker, it's win more, and I like the idea of winning more with Skaven. If you want to win more, then I do not overlook kickoff return. I've not done well with my throwers. I tend to we've had to do some redrafts, and I've dropped my throwers to keep the superstars, which are the gutter runners. But leader is a solid skill, and kickoff return is a solid skill as well, because both of those enable the team.
Do you value them more in a tournament setting to a league setting because them dying isn't as big a deal?
What, throwers?
Yeah. Would you take them in a tournament build where you usually have a bit more cash? Like, they're a bit of a no-brainer then?
Absolutely. I'd probably still only take the one, because you've got if your thrower goes down, you've still got 4 agility 4 players, so you can still move the ball, and the rest of your team's just as fast anyway. But I don't know, if you had an extra 20k, I wouldn't be against taking double thrower build just for maximum capability. They're a great player. They're just overshadowed by gutter runners. And you said that the Skaven linemen are so great because they're cheap. And it feels a little better putting a 50k person on the line to die than it does a 70k. Even if you don't need them, even if the thrower is not achieving anything, having that thrower on the line ready to take a free punch against him just feels wrong.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Big thing an elf on the line here, isn't it? So,
it's exactly that. It's exactly that. But right, these guys, if you're picking up agility or strength or movement, it's all really good for throwers. Strength 4, a strength 4 sure hands movement 7 piece is really good. Like I would buy that. I would buy that with cash money. That's a sweet play. Edge 4 past sure hands, then you are seriously cooking on gas, because then you've got an Edge 4 thrower and 4 Edge 4 receivers. It's just filthy at that point. If you can get that agility knock up on a lineman or a thrower, you're in for a really fun build. Mutations wise, big hand is not bad, because if you get a double, you got that sure hands. Then it's just sure hands 2+. Is it 2+? No, it's just sure hands 3+ forever, ignoring all tackle zones. That is incredibly useful.
I think you got one over from playing Siege, didn't you?
Oh man,
Big hand kind of, yeah.
I've never considered it before, but it could be really useful. And you know what? Extra arms is not bad either. +1 to catching, pickups, and things like that. It's kind of pseudo Edge 4, but your throwers are used to maneuver that ball. They can carry the ball, but normally what they do is they just look after it for a bit. They're the Denethor of the ball carrying potential. They look after that ball for 1 or 2 turns before they give it to someone else to score. But if it all goes wrong, movement 7 sure hands is a ghoul on a good day, isn't it? So. Yes. That's pretty great, and that's the fail case for these pieces. Anything else for the throwers there, Ben?
No, I think that's it. I do like them. I do like them. They have a definite role.
If you had a Skaven team that was just linemen and throwers, you'd still do very well.
Yeah, it says a lot about the team.
Very well. Right, yeah, but this is it. This is why the Skaven team is so exciting. I think this piece here gives it their identity. And it is the gutter runner. So 0 to 4 gutter runners. And this is 80k, which is cheap for a positional, with movement 9, strength 2, agility 4, and armor 7. They come with dodge and weeping dagger, which is hardly ever seen, and general agility on a normal access. I would probably say the gutter runner was the second best positional in the game.
Second to the War Dancer?
Yeah, because the War Dancer's armor, it's strength 3. The vulnerability of the gutter is that it is strength 2 and it is armor 7. So the gutter runner relies on dodge to keep it alive. And you know what? Dodge works. 2-die block against someone with dodge is akin to a 1-die block. It's fine. They can get away with having strength 2 because they've got that dodge, unless you run up against tackle. Then you are in a pickle. But you've always got 4 gutter runners, because you very rarely don't take 4 gutter runners, because movement 9 is almost unfair.
I agree with you, them being the second best. I just think these players are never bad. They're just never bad. Every time I've used them, they've just been obscenely good.
So I've got a couple of experienced gutters. One of them has got 124 SPP, and I do lose gutters. They die, and you know what? The new one tends to skill up quite quickly. Realistically speaking, you gutter runner, if you've got a league team, a gutter runner could be leveling up after the first game. It's just 2 touchdowns with that gutter. And that is not a hard thing to achieve. If you are in a league, if you're deep in a league, you can do team management and you can make sure that your gutter receives the ball. It is a bit of a stretch, but actually you can stack up your offense to make sure that the new guy gets the ball and gets that touchdown, or the new guy stays deep, picks up the ball and goes for the cheeky 2+2+ catch for the single SPP to get you that opportunity to give him an MVP, to get that first level up. And the reason the first level up is so important for gutters is because they just go from good to great in a single skill, and it really doesn't matter what skill you give them. But Ben, you've got a gutter runner, it levels up. What are you thinking first of all with these guys?
So when I had them, I went boring and gave them block, because blodging gutter is you basically do have a strength 2 War Dancer now.
Well, that's it. So you're relying on dodge to keep these guys alive. They're gonna get hit. You can try and protect them, but because you've got 4 of them, that is quite a huge amount of your team. That means you've only got 7 other players on the pitch, and you will not be able to protect 4 gutter runners at once. One of them's going to be eligible for a blitzing, for a jolly good blitzing, or you're going to have to use one of them or 2 of them to base somebody that you need to keep in place. And it's an awful feeling to use a gutter to base somebody because you know they're going to get a free block. But if they've got blodge, they are really well protected. It goes down from, it goes down to a 1 in 6 chance on each dice for them to actually get hurt. At that, it's okay for one go. Like, it's all right. That is exactly the same as having straight 3 block at that point. And that will keep them alive. But for the love of Nuffle, for the love of the Horned Rat, don't leave your gutter runners in bases with people unless you really need to. But the ethos of the Skaven team is sell your players up the river for the win, because that's what Skaven do. And even if you've got a real all-star guy, it just, they are replaceable. All of Skaven are replaceable except the guys with kick. Poor kickers. If you lose a gutter runner, even if it's a special one with agility 5 and some magic powers, you'll get another one. And it will do great things, because vanilla gutter runners are really, really, really good. They will do everything you want them to do. They just get better with skills.
And I think that's the key thing of kind of why these stand up so closely to War Dancers, is because of that price. 80k is affordable.
Yeah, where War Dancer is 120. Your War Dancer goes down, you are waiting 3, maybe even 4 games to replace them. With a gutter runner,
they're more expensive.
You're not bad. You're not. You can pick one up. It's only a few hundred more than alignment, and you get 4. So you can lose a gutter runner, and if you can't afford to replace them, you can still run riot with 3 gutters and a thrower. And to be realistic with you, in a game, if you are running 4 gutters, you will lose one during the game. To a KO, hopefully just a KO. You may get 1 casualty, you may get 1 murdered death kill to get a little cheeky rat style MDK. You will lose a gutter. You'll be performing at some point with 3 of your 4 gutters. That's enough. That's fine. No worries. Sometimes on offense, I always go with 4 gutters because I want to maximize my movement, my agility, my ability to move that ball and get scoring in 2 turns. That's my goal. Then you can hopefully, if you've got the players on the bench, you can swap them out. And on defense, I try to play with just 2 gutters, because you just need to stall and then strike and then have the gutters there for a stretch play. But you can score so reliably as Skaven, you don't need to score on defense. All you need to do is stop them from scoring in defense. But you've got 2 gutters on the pitch, up to 4 gutters on the pitch. You can make that opportunity. And even if it goes wrong, all it's going to do is make them scoring even harder. You can score. You're going to score. No worries.
Skaven always scores.
Basically. And swapping gutters with linemen will give you that strength. It will just help keep you, help keep that attrition, it maximises your opportunity to slow down that team. But onto gutters. Block is not bad. You get 4 of them, which means you will get 4 opportunities to roll something special quite quickly. And when it comes to gutters, strength is awesome. Strength 3, he then becomes your sacker. He is the guy who will ball hawk. He will fly around, he will dodge into places, and he will be able to get that sweet block. If you don't get strength, it's okay. You might roll agility, and let me tell you, there is nothing better than an agility 5 gutter runner, because at that point, he's going to farm touchdowns, he's going to farm completions, and he's just going to keep leveling up, and he's going to unlock some unfair potential.
Suddenly the sidelines are open. You're getting in a square on each side of the pitch. Everything
is open at that point. And talking of everything being open, movement 10 is not bad at all either.
Oh, that's what you want. That's what I always take movement 10 on a gutter.
If you get it, that's brilliant. So there are a few really great builds for gutters. The first is, like Ben just said, movement 10 gutter. You take the movement, then you give them sprint, and you've immediately got a level 3 player that can 1-turn touchdown from the line. Movement 10 and then 3 go for it. Obviously, sure feet and sidestep will support you in that. But having the ability to one-turn touchdown is just going to ruin so much of your opponent's plan, especially if they pull out and successfully perform the 2-1 grind. You've got that opportunity of picking up with a gutter runner on a 2+, handing it off to the gutter runner on a 2+, and then moving 10 squares, probably taking a dodge, probably on a 2+ with a reroll, and then rolling 3 2+ go for it for a touchdown.
Yeah, they're failing the last one.
Well, always fail. You know, the trip with a tripwire at the end zone, absolutely. But look, you've got, at that point, you are always in it. You are always in, and yeah. So movement 10, take it, get that one-turn touchdown scorer. No, just don't even worry about it. Edge 5. Edge 5 is interesting because it can really open up what you want to do with the gutter. If you've got some good movement with gutters already, then having an Edge 5 leap is sweet for offense and defense. So if we look at my star player at the moment, Mr. Bitternest, he got jump up first. No, he got Edge 5 first, then leap, wrestle, dauntless, and jump up. So his game plan is to 2+ leap in anywhere, take a dauntless dice against the ball carrier, and wrestle them to the ground, allowing that ball to come out and someone else to swoop it in. But you know what? You take that 1 die block, you might power it out, and he might just be able to Edge 5, swoop in, pick it up. It also, you know, it's a movement. You know, movement 9 2+ leaping player. If you need him to just jump over stuff and score, it's a 2+, and then he's a 2+ dodge away, and then he's just down there, which is why he has scored 33 touchdowns of the team's 90. So a third of the touchdowns scored by this team all time is this guy.
And you can see why, yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's just such a powerful piece. But if you get that Edge 5, follow it up with leap is not bad at all. Wrestle will be offensive. Block will be defensive. So if you, whatever you do with a gutter, you can use wrestle because they will be able to get into places. And even taking a negative 2 die roll with wrestle, you've got pretty good odds to drag the player down. Because at that point, you know, it's only skulls. Everything else is good for you. And that's fine, and that I think is probably a key thing to remember as a Skaven player, is that you can use that Edge 4 dodge to get you in places, and then a 2 die negative block is not always bad, especially if you've got wrestle. That player can go down, and then you've got a whole bunch of other pieces to swoop in and get that ball. So yes, when it comes to gutters, you've got the movement 10 speedy 1-turn touchdown. You've got the standard guys who start with block for defense, and then you just see how the rest of your gutters perform and where they develop. And you've got the potential of a ball sacker. So if you don't get agility, but you do want to go for a ball sacker, dauntless wrestle is not bad, and even leap with Edge 4. I mean,
Leap's great.
You know, war dancers do it.
Yeah.
You get that potential to just strike at the ball carrier no matter what's going on, and take that bad die block with wrestle to pop that ball out. And whether it's an elf team or a dwarf team, if the ball is loose, your opponent has got to roll dice. And it only takes a couple of failed rolls in a turn for you to time walk them. They lose their turn, you get to try again. And all you're doing with Skaven is either scoring or doing what you can to cost them turns. Because if you get to play 8 turns and they only get to play 5 because they've had to do things like try and pick up the ball again, you're going to win the game because you got to play more Blood Bowl than they did. And that's so key with Skaven. So gutter runners are, yeah, not bad. Anything special that we've not mentioned about gutters?
I think that's pretty much it. It's just they are really, really good.
You've got mutations on doubles as well. Horns isn't bad. Extra arms, 2 heads. They're all things you can do, but it depends how you want to go with your gutter. You've got the speedy guy, you've got the ball carrying guy, you've got the utility guy, and you've got the ball hawk. But every one of your gutters is going to get an opportunity to be something special. And it's only 80k if they die. So that's not bad either.
Yeah. I think you really covered it. Like, what we're saying is you can really build Skaven in any way, and the gutters just add to that.
Yeah.
They can become really good sackers as well as really fast scoring pieces.
Well, that's what this guy is used for with that cheeky edge 5 leap, wrestle dauntless, boom. Ball carrier's going down. But if you don't want to use your strength 2 piece to take the ball carrier down, there's always your 0 to 2 Skaven Blitzers. 90,000, 7,338. Finally, we've got some armor. Only 2 guys. Only 2 guys on the whole team with armor 8. But these guys do come with block and general and strength. So they are human blitzers. They are exactly the same as human blitzers, which is good actually, because one of my Skaven blitzers is actually a 2nd edition human blitzer model that I had in my human team. Buzz Justice himself.
Is he a human?
It's a human model, yeah. It's one of my oldest Blood Bowl pieces, and it was painted in my original green and yellow Green Bay Packers color, and Buzz Justice. He's just been Buzz Justice. He's been on all of my Blood Bowl teams, really.
That's hilarious.
And because the stats are exactly the same as a human blitzer, I had him on there, and it works just well. So, blitzers are your only block pieces to start with. What you're doing with the blitzers is you should, in my opinion, very rarely put them on the line. Only put them on the line if you're on offense, and what you want to do is line up everybody on the line and dominate. It's not a tactic I'd normally go with Skaven, but if you're up, if you're winning, if you've got the opportunity to farm blocks and just hurt, then absolutely. If you've got the Rat Ogre build with Skaven Blitzers and you're in a dominating position, or you just got 3 turns to score and you don't think you can do it because you've got no gutter runners and you just want to murder, you can put your Blitzers on the line and take use of that block. But these guys skill really well as well. So general and strength. Ben, what are you thinking for Skaven Blitzers?
See, I like guard on them a lot.
Absolutely.
I think that's mainly because we're going to get into it, but I like the Rat Ogre, and like we kind of mentioned it with the linemen, having just little kind of support pillars around your team is really useful. And that's kind of how I view these, as kind of pillars of support rather than your main offense. If that makes sense.
And having armor 8, it makes them the only piece that you can risk. They're going to be okay. They're going to be okay. They can have a brawl. They can take the brawl. And this is the really interesting thing about the Skaven roster, is where they've got 4 gutter runners, they can only take 2 blitzers, which really makes you feel like you don't have a lot of defense. You guys are really vulnerable. So blitzers, I tend to have one striker, one actual blitzer. He gets murder skills. So he gets mighty blow, frenzy, claw if you can swing it, dodge if you can, just to help him be mobile and strike. The other one, guard. So if you want your team to perform really well really quickly, the first blitzer gets guard, and then it just makes the rest of your team slightly stronger, which will keep them alive and will help you farm more SPP for casualties. But the other blitzer, I would definitely gear up to be a striker. So if you get those doubles, claw is brilliant because you're going to need some removal. And this is what I use Buzz Justice for. He went mighty blow, frenzy, claw, and tackle. So he removes things. And Fireborn, my other blitzer, he's only got 10 SPP because he keeps dying. He gets guard. So they hunt together. Guard moves in, and then you've got a guard piece, like Ben says, that will enable your gutter runners, that will enable the cheeky 2-die block, because you've got guard on the other side of this guy. Boom, it's now a 1-die blitz, and you chuck in Dauntless on a gutter runner, it's then a 2-die positive blitz with wrestle.
Yeah.
It really changes the numbers.
I find they fit the role of a tank. Like if you picture like an old the classic MMO, you have your tanks, and I feel that's what they are. They're like the front runners that kind of set up the rest of your team to do everything. They're kind of like a pseudo support role, like I was saying, but they can go into the sort of the off tank damage form. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's how they feel on the team.
Absolutely. They're your brawlers. They are your blockers. They are the ones that can do the fighting. But again, along with this Skaven build, is they can carry the ball really, really well. Movement 7 block, armor 8. They can carry the ball. You give them dodge. They're maneuverable as heck. You give them claw, mighty blow. They'll murder stuff. You give them guard and whatever. They become excellent support pieces. So blitzers, I do find that they don't always survive because they do get in the thick of it. And armor 8's great, but when you've only got 2 guys with armor 8, they're going to get a bit of a punching. But Guard will enable your team quicker. Mighty Blow, Claw, Frenzy will allow you to, once per turn, have a very good shot at removing one of your opponent's pieces. And if you can keep that attrition battle even, it helps protect you from your core vulnerability, which is that at some point you're probably going to be setting up 7 players. And that is, it's significantly tougher. You can definitely do things with Skaven with 7 players, but it just makes it a lot easier if they've got 7 players as well. Yeah. And then we're going to talk about the big boy, which is Ben's favourite piece on this team. Yes. I think, is the Rat Ogre. So 150,000. So one of the most expensive big guys in the game. 6, 5, 2, 8. So armor is a little lower than 8, but movement 6 for a big guy is pretty tasty. And he's got some skills too. Frenzy, Loner, Mighty Blow, Prehensile Tail, and Wild Animal, and Normal Access is a strength. Ben, talk to me about Rat Ogres.
Well, it's no secret we love Bloodthirsters. These guys are kind of like Bloodthirster light. I really like the Rat Ogre. I think, not everyone takes them. I think most of the competitive Skaven builds probably wouldn't take them because usually you're sacrificing 2 gutters to take one.
Cost-wise, it's a tough squeeze.
Yeah, but I just think they're cool. I think the most important thing is putting a giant Rat Ogre in the middle of the pitch is just visually awesome. That's why I like them. But I think also they do have a fitting role, like especially if you can get some guard on your blitzers to kind of back up the frenzy. These guys can really tear a hole. And if they skill up, we can talk about that in a bit. But man, I think these guys really open up paths for the rest of your team to break through.
So the Rat Ogre is another divisive piece. Because they're so expensive, you have to give up quite a lot with a starting Skaven list to get them in there. Now, the sweet spot for a tournament build is around 1150 to 1200, so 1.2 million. You can take your full 1000 standard build, which is 4 gutters, 3 rerolls, all your positionals, and a Rat Ogre. At that point, you've got the best of both worlds, because a Rat Ogre and 2 blitzers could do some serious damage. But when your Rat Ogre and 2 blitzers need to be a mobile pack of 3, and you've got 4 gutter runners who need to be a mobile pack of not dying, that's 7 players. That leaves you 4 other players to soak up punches. Your Rat Ogre, if you want to deploy him on the line, you've got some support, will help with attrition, because Frenzy, Mighty Blow on a strength 5 piece is going to do some work, but also having that strength 5 armor 8 is probably going to save you alignment. So just in death, because having that strength 5 piece with prehensile tail, so it's keeping people in base contact as well, it's going to save you some of the punching that you would have to just leave alignment in base contact with 2 Black Orcs just to keep them busy. I would much rather leave a Rat Ogre in base contact with 2 Black Orcs because those odds are much better, and Mighty Blow is going to peel them open a little bit easier.
Yeah, and with Wild Animal, it kind of frees your blitz, because if he's not in base contact, he's probably going to be wanting to eat the blitz when this team has a lot of good blitzers.
Yeah, I don't mind blitzing with a Rat Ogre.
No, and often it results in great things, but sometimes you got to blitz with the gutter to get them out sometimes. Yeah, but rarely,
and you're right. At that point, you've got that Bloodthirster situation where I don't get to activate this piece. So I think you're right, Ben. I think the Rat Ogre is suboptimal. We've got 2 Skaven lists to talk through in a minute, and one of them is the Rat Ogre build. It is the ability to win is less with a Rat Ogre. The ability to murder, have fun, have a real brawl, have a tighter game. If you've got the Gutter Runner build, you're looking at a 3-1 victory. Is a reasonable score. If you're looking at a Rat Ogre build, it's going to be a 1-0 or a 2-0 grind out. And that's another beautiful thing about the Skaven team, is you've got the ability to tone it down and take a different style that is still fun. It's still a challenge. It's really interesting. So the Rat Ogre gets strength, so obviously guard is great on it. The downside of the Rat Ogre is that it can get mutation, but it's only on a double. And then you're fighting, do I take block or do I take claw with the double?
I would always take claw, and that's only because You can always just put Juggernaut on a single. That's my opinion.
You're exactly right. If you're going to be blitzing with a Rat Ogre, then Jugs is not a bad skill at all because it's got Frenzy. You know, you roll the both down, you push them, you have another go. And if you've already got Claw, then if you've got rolling 4 dice, maybe even 6 dice at that point, you get a much better opportunity. And Claw Mighty Blow is a 56% success rate for breaking that armor. And that it means every other turn, if you're hitting somebody, you're removing a piece. Even if it's just a stun, you're gonna net that casualty, and it limits your opponent's ability to do anything. So the Rat Ogre is a very cool piece. It doesn't see enough play. We'll do it tournaments because it's a solid piece at that point. But in League, your team tends to bloat, and you tend to lose players. And you need to spend that cash. If you lose a Blitzer, you've got to buy another Blitzer. If you lose a Gutter Runner, you really should buy another Gutter Runner. And you are going to lose some of these players. So the ability to save up 150k to get that Rat Ogre is actually a real challenge. I've only really achieved it once because my Skaven team dies hard. And then we did the silly redrafting rules, and I couldn't bring them back. Because I had a bunch of Gutter Runners that were like 150 to 200k, so it was more fun to keep them. Rounding this list out, you get Apothecaries and you get 60k rerolls. So let's have a quick look at 2 League builds here, Ben. Let me just have a look at the show notes. So there is the standard build. I think this is the build that is the most popular and can do the most things. It's 4 Gutter Runners, 2 Blitzers, 1 Thrower, 3 rerolls, 4 Line Rats. That takes you to 930k and gives you your 11 players straight up. Then you get 70k to play with, and this is really seasoned to your liking. You can take an Apothecary. I would recommend taking an Apothecary because you will save money in the long run if you can keep your Gutters and you can keep your Blitzers from dying.
Which they will.
Yeah. Or you can take a second Thrower / another Lineman to give you that 12th player. I would rather take the Apothecary early, keep the Gutters healthy, give you those wins. More wins is more money, which means you can tick up. You can pick up a Lineman every now and again. And the cool thing about this list is that as your linemen are only 50k and your linemen are going to miss games, you're going to have journeymen. And the great thing about journeyman rats is you chuck them on the line to die, but occasionally you get a good block with them and they get a casualty. And because they're only 50k, you get an opportunity to just free roll a player that can go straight into an MVP for 50k.
Yeah.
I cannot recommend this enough, that if you keep that 50k in your treasury, because you may get a journeyman line rat that gets an incidental casualty. At that point, you're closer to getting your kicker. You're closer to picking up your next potential blitzer or positional for your Skaven team. So do not overlook that, because line rats can be great with any skills. You get kick, you get strength, you get whatever. We didn't touch on stats, sorry, for the blitzers, but movement 8 isn't bad. Strength 4 and edge 4, both of those are amazing. The movement 8, you can take it or leave it, but I would not mind a movement 8 blitzer. Definitely worth considering for extra 30k. Yeah, movement 8 blitzers are not bad as well. It just increases your speed. So
I'd always take that over the armor, always.
Oh yeah, never take the armor. That's just maybe if they're like, this is their last level up and actually it's going to keep them alive for longer, then yeah, it's pretty cool. But otherwise, no. So that is the primary league bit. That's your list at 1,000 TV, a million. Whether you're going to a tournament, whether you're going to a league, that gives you the core Skaven build. But there is a different build if you want to do something a little bit different, a little bit spicy. This is the Rat Ogre build that's recommended. 5 linemen, 1 thrower, 2 blitzers, the Rat Ogre. Then this is where you suffer. You can only afford 2 rerolls and 2 gutter runners. So yeah, you can take it at a million, but you've got the fight, but you've got 2 less gutter runners and you've got 1 less reroll. Now, if you're looking at a low-level tournament build, you can recover that easily. Sorry, this includes an apothecary, but you can recover that easily by throwing leader on the roader or on the thrower if you want that skill. You can also tweak the list ever so slightly as well. You can drop the thrower, replace it with a lineman, and drop the apothecary as well, and pick up the third reroll. But then you are playing you're not playing to the strength of Skaven. This is the essential thing. Can you imagine taking a human roster but dropping 2 blitzers so you can take the ogre?
Yeah, that's pretty much what it is, isn't it?
It is exactly like that. And it is suboptimal, but it is a good fun challenge. Now, Richard Saxby tweaked this ever so slightly, and what he did was he took the Rat Ogre, 2 blitzers, no gutter runners at all, chucked in extra linemen, and took that third reroll. He wanted to just see how Skaven played without gutters. They're not as good. They play like worse humans, but faster humans. It's an interesting build, and you know what? You can get some serious murdering on the go with a couple of blitzers and some Rat Ogres, but you are playing uphill at that point. It's fun. It's fun to try something different. I mean, I'm a big fan of trying like all lineman lists and things like that, just to actually add the challenge. Taking a no gutter Skaven list can definitely be done, but if you're playing to win or playing to really experience Skaven, don't worry about it. I would definitely recommend that first build with 4 gutters, 2 blitzers, a thrower, 3 rerolls, 4 linemen, and then either an apothecary or another lineman, or another reroll. It's up to you at that point what you do with that last bit. But you're either going to end up with 11 players in apothecary or 12 players really. You're just going to enable your team. I mean, what do you think?
I mean, if you have a really cool Rat Ogre model that you love, I think that at that point it's worth going for the Rat Ogre. But I do see what you mean. You're going to have a kind of a better experience without it in a league, and then maybe run it in a tournament instead.
Yeah, I think tournaments are really, really, really fun for Skaven, and the reason for that is because you get a real serious arsenal of star players and inducements, and because you get so much for $1 million, when you get more cash to play with, you can really expand. So if you got an 1100 build, you can fit a Rat Ogre in there. You just drop a line rat and have a Rat Ogre. If you take 1200, then you get the Rat Ogre and another lineman on top, and it just really, really comes in. And that's without even looking at star players. And Skaven have some insanely good star players that we will talk about in a minute. Just wanted to have a look at a couple of questions here from you guys out there. Richard Preston asks, are throwers worth it? They are worth it, because if you've got 4 Edge, 4 gutter runners, being able to leave them on the line and go and do fast things while you've still got somebody else able to move the ball as well, it basically feels like you've got an extra gutter runner at that point. Craig Nash says, squishy rats and horrible gutter runners. This is all I have to say on the matter. Yeah, fair enough. It's hard to disagree with that. Ollie the Norse says, why do I have issues injuring Skaven? So let's talk tactics about Skaven for a little bit, Ben. Okay. If we haven't already covered this before. So the vulnerability of Skaven is attrition. They will lose players. You can still score, but you lose players. You're going to end up losing 2 to 4 Skaven a game just through knockouts. It just happens. The cool thing, so this is Mustrum. He has a Norse extraordinaire, and really takes opportunity to do horrible things with the Claw Yeti, and Claw does nothing to this team except the blitzers and the Rat Ogre. So that's one other advantage, is that Claw teams, they don't have any benefit playing against Skaven. So that is one minor advantage.
Doesn't come up often, but when it does, it makes a big difference.
It's really quite satisfying when they've taken Claw on their player, or they're using their Claw Frenzy guy to go and take out players, and it's actually just not getting anything. It's just not achieving it. Richard Preston also says, if a line rat survives long enough, what skill do you bother putting on him before he does die? That is kick. That just describes kick and the situation that I always have with kick on my guys. So, tactics for a Skaven. Do you kick? Do you receive? What have you found works for you, Ben?
I receive every time. And that is just because there is logic to both. I think kind of like an elf team, often defending with all your players is quite good because you rarely get to defend with the full team.
Yep.
However, I think with Skaven, you kind of just want to score before your good guys go, which they will. So often I find like receiving just lets you get one touchdown and then you're on the front foot.
Absolutely.
And that puts your opponent like in a stressful situation where they focus on killing your guys. You've already got the touchdown, so it's all good.
That is exactly it. So the thing is with Skaven, like Ben said, is they are, generally speaking, very good on defense because they've got the movement and the agility to really capitalize on a fumble. So your opponent, if they get a turnover, if they drop the ball in the open, if they go for it and fail, if they take a pass and they fail, if they leave it slightly open and you get a hit on that ball, it's not hard for a gutter runner to scoot in there, get the ball, give it to another gutter runner, and then that ball is just miles away. Like, it doesn't take much for you to get that opening. It depends on what team you're playing against, but as your team develops, or if you've got a few skills, I think I'm with you. I think I always receive with Skaven because, like you said, Ben, it's useful to be able to defend with all your players. But I tell you what, if you score in 2 turns, you're not losing any players. You know, you might lose 1 line rat or something, and you're going to be able to recover from that. Because all you're doing at that point is you're playing a 14-turn game, but you started with 1 extra touchdown. So it kind of, like you said, it puts that pressure on your opponent, and then they have to do stuff, and that allows you to do 2 things on defense. So stall your opponent out, not on the offense. Get that touchdown and get your SPPs, get that touchdown, make your opponent play fast. Then you've got the opportunity to either kick deep, or if you've got some good skilled players, or you've got the opportunity, you can kick short and just play at the line of scrimmage to try and attack. You get 1 defensive touchdown with a Skaven team, that game is yours. But if you score quickly and then just stall out that offense until they leave an opening, you're going to swoop in there straight away. The 2-1 grind doesn't really work with Skaven. If you kick the ball away, you've got a great opportunity at defense, at a defensive touchdown. Ben's exactly right. But you are then going to go into the second half and score in 2 or 3 turns, and then they are going to get to grind on you. So I like the setting the gutters up on the line, receiving the ball, getting that ball up there, scoring by turn 3, just getting that done. Because then you've got 14 turns and 2 drives to get a single turnover and score against your opponent. That's it. Then the game is away. You've got 2 touchdowns up on them, and it takes a serious game to get that up there. So yeah, that works for me. And I think my final piece of Skaven advice is the same advice I give for every Blood Bowl situation and probably every game I've ever played. So Magic, it comes from Magic really, which is play to your outs. Okay, if there is a sequence you can see, give it a go, because it only takes it to work once. So deploy your players to set up ready for failure. Set up here to go and say, you know what, if this blitz works, the ball's going to come out over here, and I've got a chance then to swoop in. I'm going to roll a lot of dice, but it might pay off. It will pay off. You can set up 3 or 4 turns in a game where if your dice go well, you get the ball and you can score. And you know what, that's more likely than you imagine. And your fail case, yes, your fail case could be that your gutter jumps in there, punches a guy, actually trips up and dies. That sucks, but you haven't really lost anything.
You've got a few more.
Yeah. Middle case is you jumped in there, you punched the ball carrier, you both went down, your gutter runner died, but they've lost a turn now because they have to re-maneuver and pick up that ball, which means that next turn you get another go to jump in there and pop out the ball. And let me tell you, when your opponent is 1-0 down and every turn they're having rats throw themselves and pressure the ball carrier or pressure the cage, it is horrible.
What is more Skaven than that?
Just
swarming them.
Just that little swarm of I'm just going to keep throwing these guys at you and achieving, because Skaven can do some incredible stretch plays and they can score some serious touchdowns. And if you deploy, like I said, play to your outs, played so that if you get a cheeky bit of luck, you can swoop in there and capitalize. I played one horrible game against Rich at Entoyment. First time we played it in Entoyment a couple of years ago when we were scouting out. We played a league game. I brought my Skaven, he brought his Pact. and it was 5-0 in the end. It was horrific. It was just because I was like, right, I'll deploy like this. If I get a good roll here, I can pop the ball out, and then this guy here is close enough to swoop in and get it. And it worked. And then I deployed again, and I just deployed it, and then just like, well, we'll try this. If it doesn't work, I'm pressuring the ball, and it worked. And I got a 4+ followed by a 4+, which is a touchdown. And if you can position your guys, and you can just layer it up so that you do have that stretch play. Keep a gutter runner 9 squares from the end zone. Keep that gutter runner there, because you've got so much movement that it only takes a couple of good dice for you to get that ball away from your opponent, and that's either going to buy you turns or touchdowns, and that wins the game. And that's my TED talk. On playing.
And I've got an interesting note.
It
just sort of came to my mind as you mentioned that. I think it's not like tactics based. It's basically my impressions of Skaven. I think getting into Blood Bowl, I imagine them to be way worse than they are. Just from my knowledge of what I knew about them in Warhammer, where they're pretty terrible.
Yeah.
Like if you had like 11 rats, they're not going to do a lot. But I think from learning the game more and playing out the game with them, they really do feel like Skaven. We've said it a few times. I think it's one of the teams that most represents what they are. I think that's Skaven.
Skaven, Goblins, and Orcs, I think, thematically do absolutely feel like those races. And yeah, you've got the theme. If you played Skaven in the way that Skaven need to be played, which is sacrifice players and just go for crazy plans, you know, you're a Grey Seer on the sideline, having an absolutely great time. And yeah, I'm super. That's why I love the team so much. It's just because it is a constant challenge, and the reason Blood Bowl is amazing is because it is a quantum puzzle. Every single turn is going to look different, and you do not know what the next turn is going to look like. You can plan and hope that it goes in a certain direction. That's what I mean by playing to your outs. And if it goes, then it just gives you that little bit of extra EV every single turn. You build up, and you can eventually break the serve. But it's a quantum puzzle, and Skaven gives you the best ability to react. And just redeploy and just try again, and then sacrifice some guys that you don't really care about. It's just everybody is sacrificial, and it's just fun to pressure, and you end up with big wins or you end up with tough losses, and that's a really fun way to play. And if you lose with a Skaven team, you've probably had some really cool moments where like, oh man, if that gutter runner had pulled off that 3-die up blitz, it would have been amazing, but didn't. But you know, it doesn't matter. Your opponent's going to be there going, he's actually going to go for the 3-up blitz here. He's going to jump into that cage. Yeah, he's jumped into that cage. He's going to take the 3 dice. Oh, skull. That was horrifically close. Or the dream, which is the triple power moment. And I've seen it. I've pulled it off, and it is just cheeky. It is cheeky, but it's the kind of ridiculousness that everyone is on board with. Like, it's like that gutter runner literally just triple powered my ogre and stole the ball. Like, that's just heroic. That's just a story. And Blood Bowl is a story. Blood Bowl is a puzzle and a story. That's why it's such an all things to everybody game. Right. That is the team. We are going to move on to the inducements, and then we'll wrap up a few of the last listener questions. So we'll take a quick break, and we'll be right back. And we're back. So Blood Bowl has got complicated these days with the star players, the inducements, the teams, what you can take, what you can't take, where you can take it. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at the CRP, which is the Competitive Rules Pack, the historical NAF team list. We're going to look at the star players available for that, and there's a couple that we need to add, which we're going to swap over to the Coach's Handbook and have a look at, which is Creek Rust Gouger and Glart Smash Rip Senior. Because we want to cover everything. So we talked in depth about Skaven, how they run, what you can do. You don't need star players for a Skaven team, but oh my goodness, have they got some utility players. So let's start at the very top. You've got Fezglitch or Creek Rust Gouger as the ball and chain. So we've got Fezglitch here. He's 100k, movement 4, so movement 4 ball and chain, strength 7, edge 3, armor 7, loner, ball and chain, disturbing presence, foul appearance, no hands, and secret weapon. So Fezglitch is basically a plague sensor bearer. But look, 100k, he's got secret weapons, so it's a one use only thing. But movement 4, ball and chain, is pretty good. That will allow your Skaven team to have some extra bash. What do you think of this guy, Ben?
Yeah, like you say, Skaven have some really good options, but I've seen Fezglitch taken before, and he does good work. Like if you're going for that kind of fun bashy Skaven list, this guy kind of just adds to that. I think it's really cool.
I love Fezglitch. And the reason I love Fezglitch is because it will help you out in a situation where you're going up against a bash team. It's probably not optimal, but if you're playing against elves, is probably not the best thing. But something like a dwarves or a bashy human team, they're going to line up their guys on that line to farm blocks against you. We've already spoken about this. You want to try and keep as many of your guys alive as possible, or find a way to even the numbers. And if you put a movement 4 ball and chain anywhere near their players, that's going to take some attention away from your actual players. And if he dies, when he dies, either because they've had to deploy several players to get a good block against him, or because he gets kicked off at the end of the drive, you've lost a player. So it's 100k for some ball and chain madness, but also it is another player. And that means
you haven't really lost anything because he's a star player.
You've lost nothing. He's a star player
anyway,
and he gets sent off. But because he's a star player, you've still got 11 players, which means you've got that bench. And having something that's strength 7 for a few turns, it will really help. I think
one of the downsides of him, is the fact that he is that secret weapon, and on a Skaven team, you generally want to score very fast as soon as you can.
Yeah, this might not be a bad situation for which to deploy him when you are kicking and force your opponent to either score quicker or just suffer the wrath of a ball and chain.
Yeah.
I am a big fan of this guy, and I think Fezglitch historically could be taken by Underworld as well, but let's have a look at Creek Rustgouger. The reason we're going to talk about Creek now is because he's kind of superseded Fezglitch. Creek Rustgouger, the Verminator. Let me see if I can find him on the coach's handbook. Creek Rustgouger, here we go. Skaven and Underworld Denizens, 130k, so a bit more expensive, but movement 5, strength 7, armor 9, and it comes with Mighty Blow and Prehensile Tail. So Ball and Chain Loner, Mighty Blow, no hands, Prehensile Tail, secret weapon. So 30k more for Creek Rustgouger, but it's a movement 5 Ball and Chain.
That's quite a big upgrade, to be honest.
It's huge, and he's got Mighty Blow as well.
Gives him an extra block, so you know.
It's an extra block, and that Mighty Blow means that he could just farm through players. That is a best case mentality kind of situation or thinking, but the threat of having somebody make 5 moves just take out players, it will put the fear in your opponent. And if you're down 150k, him or a wizard is a tough situation, a tough decision. But Creek, if you're playing against a brawling team, he will support you with some murdering. So Fezglitch and Creek, if you're looking, if your TO or your commissioner allows both, I have run both, and it is great fun. It was definitely suboptimal, but it was really, really good fun. Okay, so who have we got next? Let's look at Glart Smashrip Jr. So this is the old Glart, 210k, 7 movement 7, strength 4, edge 3, armor 8. So he's a strength 4 blitzer with loner, block, claw, and juggernaut. So 210k, you get a claw piece and a strength 4. Get a claw piece on a strength 4 blitzer.
That's pretty good.
It's not bad at all. If you need that removal, or you're looking at a tournament build where you think, I can take a blitzer, I can give him claw, and I can also take Glart Smashrip Jr. and get another bit of claw in there, because claw will massively help Skaven. Because you will get that extra bit of removal and you'll keep the player numbers a little bit more even. Let's have a quick look at his dad, Glart Smashrip, who has replaced him. So that's the model that is available from Forge World at the moment, is the Papa Glart Where are you? Where are you? Okay, so he's Skaven and Underworld as well. 190k, so a bit cheaper. Movement 5, so a lot slower. 5428, so odd player type. Block, claw, grab, juggernaut, loner, stand firm. So if you are after a block claw piece to put on the line and you want it to be strength 4, then Glart Smash Rip Senior for 190k will do that. If you are wanting a cruise missile of a blitzer that can swoop around and target with movement 7 using jugs and claw for 230k, then Glart Smash Rip Junior is pretty good. I mean, there's not a lot in it for me, Ben. What do you think to these two?
Yeah, I just, after talking about like Fez Glitch and that, I just kind of prefer them. I think, yeah, having the third blitzer is good, and like we said, they're nice to have, and having like strength 4, like it's a good set of skills. There's no doubt about it, but that's getting to territory where you can start taking some other options, I think.
There are a lot of options on the Skaven team, and it's interesting. We had a couple of questions from listeners saying, "Do you even need stars on a Skaven team?"
Yeah.
You don't need stars, but if you can afford them, oh my goodness! And the first one that really is the difference maker is Hack Phlegm Shuttle Spike for me, which is covered in the new rules and does have a model. The photograph on the Forge World website is bad. I think the model itself is better in person, but I've not picked it up. So Hack Phlegm is 200,000, movement 9, strength 3, agility 4, armor 7. So this guy is a strength boosted gutter runner for 200k. I like this already, but that's not it. He comes, no, it's not all. Loner, dodge, extra arms, prehensile tail, 2 heads. So extra arms and 2 heads basically makes him Ag 5. So it's a strength 3, Ag 5 gutter runner for 200k. This guy is amazing.
He's bonkers. We touched on him in the Underworlds episode, didn't we?
We really did.
And this is such a good piece.
Okay.
Like when we were talking about Glart before being 190 compared to 200.
Yeah.
This is just a much more attractive package.
Okay, so this is going to get you your 5th gutter runner. Okay, let's just start that right off. It's a 5th gutter runner with extra arms at agility 4. So he's receiving the ball on a 2+ in 1 tackle zone as well. So yes, he's got loner. So if you need to make that clutch play, you don't get to use the reroll all the time, but it's going to be a 2+, even if there's a tackle zone, even if there's one disturbing presence around. But moreover than that, he's a gutter runner with strength 3, and I cannot stress just how much better that is. If Hack Phlegm's got it, he is really tough to stop because dodge with 2 heads, he's 1+ dodging. So, you put a couple of tackle zones on him, he's going to find a way to get out there on a 2+, and he's got dodge. And if he has to blitz his way out, he's with a bit of support, it's 2 dice. Hack Phlegm is awesome.
I lost a tournament round hard due to Hack Phlegm.
Was that the double star build of Alpha Wolf?
No, it was the this was in Bonehead Bowl with the Dark Elf Skaven.
Oh wow!
Mix.
Oh okay.
They took Hack Phlegm, and this guy was just dominated.
It's a really underrated star player, Hack Phlegm. I think it's because the model looks ugly on the Forge World website. Right, okay, I think we need to pick up that model as well and just do some investigating. But I'm just finding reasons to buy things because Games Workshop won't release anything new. Right, 200k. If you're down 200k, Hack Phlegm will really support you. You get that 5th gutter runner. If you're running a tournament build, you can drop a gutter runner to replace him with Hack Phlegm. It's not bad. It is not bad at all. Strength 3 is a boon. It just so good. Skaven at tier 1, and you've got this guy who can just elf. He's a superstar. Just cannot recommend enough. He's in the same price range as Skitter Stab, who is the other really good star player. So he's 160k, 9247, so normal stats for a gutter runner. Loner, dodge, prehensile tail, shadowing, and stab. So definitely not as good as Hack Phlegm, but 160k, you get your 5th gutter runner. And Alpha Wolf in Bonehead Bowl on Fumble ran both Skitter Stab Stab and Hack Phlegm, and it was just filthy.
Was that with all the other gutters as well?
I think you had to drop a gutter to fit it in, but that means
It's a worthy trade.
yeah, 3 gutter runners plus Skitter Stab Stab plus Hack Phlegm, and these guys being available to Underworld is so important as well. And that, you're right, Ben, that's what we spoke about, because yeah, that goes from 1 gutter runner then to up to 3, and that really will unlock the potential of that. Now, League is difficult. Using either of these players will massively help you win, but they are going to be doing the winning, and that is not necessarily what you want, because gutter runners do not struggle to score by themselves. So if you're in League, then yeah, like Ben said, Fezglitch Creek will do some damage. If you want to take a Glart, Smash Rip, one of them, either one, doesn't really matter, to help you with punching, that's great too. That won't detract from what your goal is, which is to score with gutter runners, to level them up so that you can score more with your gutter runners, so that they can level up more and score more touchdowns with your gutter runners, while the rest of your team just try very hard not to die. The Glarts, the Fezglitches will help the rest of your team do a bit of murder and not die, but Hack Phlegm and Skitter are going to help you score. And if you go all in like Alpha Wolf did, you could end up with up to 6 gutter runners, and you just cannot stop that at that point. It's just an absolutely all-in scoring offense. Interesting enough, I think Alpha Wolf finished in the top 10, didn't win the tournament, so did lose or at least draw 1 game, which means it isn't an unbeatable list by any means. But
no, it's just difficult to play against.
You know what? Any one of these stars is great.
Yeah.
Every single one of these star players is good. And there's what have we got? We got 2 more to go through. So we've got Morg and Thorg. Everyone knows Morg. 430, 6'6", 310. 430 is a ton. That's any 2 of these other guys. Take 2 of these other guys. I love Morg, but take 2 of these other guys.
Definitely.
Or 1 on a wizard. Or 2 on a wizard, probably. And the last one is Head Splitter, which I thought you might like, Ben, which is a Rat Ogre. So 340k, 6638. So strength 6 Rat Ogre with agility 3, just for the lols. And he has got Loner, Frenzy, Mighty Blow, Prehensile Tail, and the best skill available to a big guy, a complete and utter lack of Nega trait.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah. So strength 6, Frenzy, Mighty Blow.
No, I don't think I've seen this star player before.
Oh, Head Splitter's wicked, man.
Yeah, this is...
Unfortunately, for 360k, you can get Hack Phlegm and Skitter. But if you want to go a murdering, then a double Rat Ogre build with Head Splitter and a standard Rat Ogre would be really fun.
That would look really cool.
Yeah, if you want to just buy someone to have a brawl, Head Splitter's there. He's not going to help you win the game, but he's going to help you do some murdering. If that's what you want to do, then you can do it. And you know what, with Skaven, your gutter runner core, supported by a thrower, can score. They're good to go. Like, don't worry about it. You can find a way to score with that group of players. So if you want to spend that money you're down, then Head Splitter is going to give a challenge to your opponent. And that's not bad. Is if you've got a standard 1 million Skaven team, you're not missing anything. You're just adding something tasty. And Head Splitter will allow you to do some removal, to pile on some strength without taking away from what you're normally trying to do.
You can even carry the ball, like, if he really wants.
Well, yeah, I mean, Edge 3 is great, and he's got no nega traits apart from Loner. If you try and blitz your way out of something with Frenzy, you could end up in trouble, but to be honest with you, putting him on the line at strength 6 with Prehensile Tail, he's just a hench Croxigore with an anger problem. And that, your Croxigores are great. So this guy is really, really, really cool. Probably not the top tier choice, but that's because every single star player available to Skaven is worth taking. However, let's look at that question that Ian Triplo asked, which is, would you rather take a wizard? So Ben, wizard versus star player for Skaven. What do you think? Go.
No. I would take the star player.
I would take the wizard.
Really?
Yeah, because it's really, really, really good fun blitzing a ball carrier with a gutter runner, but it's way easier to zap them with a lightning bolt or nuke them with a fireball, because it's just going to open up that blitz. It's going to, if it goes well, the ball's going to be loose, and then you can just run in with a gutter runner and get it. I think 150k. Honestly, if the wizard goes right, what it feels like with Skaven is it feels like you just received the ball an extra time. And that is huge. And it's 150k. So if you only have 150k, it's that or Fezglitch or Creek, right? 160k Skitter. So if you take Skitter or a wizard, it depends on the rest of your team. I think if you've got a full lineup, so if you're facing humans, orcs, chaos, whatever, at 1.15 million, yeah? 1.16. You could take Skitter in a league and you're probably going to win. But you're likely to have a good brawl anyway, and that, I don't know. I probably overvalue the wizard, but that's because I find that the wizard, when playing with Skaven, enables the rest of my team to do what it wants to do. But you're probably right. Having the extra player is probably better.
I'll tell you where I am.
Yeah.
At 200, when you can afford Hackflem,
yeah,
that no-brainer, Hackflem all the way. At 160, when you can afford either
Skitter or a wizard.
Sorry, all the names. It's all these Skaven names. Is always the same thing. Skitter or the wizard. Then I would be umming and erring, but it's always the thing with the wizard. It's only ever let me down. I think having an extra player all the time is just, you wouldn't get in a situation where you need to use the wizard, and sometimes you use that wizard and it rolls a 1 and it sucks.
So the tiebreaker for me is that the team that Skaven have the toughest time against is dwarves. They could grind, they've got tackle to take out your gutters, and they can cage up, and it's really tough to break a cage when you've only got a few players and that can strike, and those are generally having to overstretch and go for a negative block against dwarves, which is tough. Fireball versus dwarf cage takes away that vulnerability, will open it up, and you should be able to get a better blitz, or it might just even pop the ball out. So I think that's probably why I overvalue the wizard for Skaven, because against every other team, you're in a fair fight. If you're against a slow, brawly, cagey team, the wizard gives you the opportunity to just have a free die roll to see if you can pop that ball out. Yeah, it doesn't always work, but if it works, you're winning. And I think that's probably why I overvalue it, because the only team I've ever had a tough time against with Skaven is dwarves. Otherwise, my losses are just generally high-scoring games. So my biggest loss was in the final against Lewis, inappropriate Lewis. Good guy Lewis, sorry, it's probably the better way. But I think it was like a 3-2 in the final against his Lisbon team, and that was a shootout. That could have gone either way. You know, I played against Milton's Orcs to get there. That was a shootout, and that could have gone either way. You know, we're playing some good offense, some good tactics. Against dwarves, it's tough. It's really tough to get that defensive turnover, and the wizard really helps you do it, because you just roll a load of dice and remove a couple of their dwarves. And
when you're just playing into the theme even more, having the dwarves the ones to take out the Skaven. You know?
Yeah, I know, the Undercity Bowl, absolutely. So that wraps up the inducements for Skaven. Yeah, you can take a giant, but you don't want to take a giant, because 400k you get so much. We'll just split it halfway, Ben. At 400k you take Hackflem and a wizard and just win.
Yeah, sounds good.
So there's a couple of other questions. We'll come back to that one. Robert Williams Day says rat ogres are cursed. As soon as you add one to the team will fall apart. Also, the right number of gutter runners is 4. So the thing there about the rat ogre being cursed, he says as soon as you add one to your roster, the team will fall. It might feel that way because you are going from probably 1100, 1150 TV straight up to 300. They're expensive, and adding a big guy of that value is going to take you up a significant amount. And basically, it comes with the tax of if you take a Rat Ogre on an already developed team, your opponent gets a free wizard every game.
Yeah.
And that is a tough road to hoe if you're in a variable league format where the team values are widely rejigged. Giving a lot of inducements away when you're playing a Skaven team, you are better fighting up with Skaven than you are fighting down, because your players bloat and you end up with not a lot of players. And if they can take a chainsaw, maybe two chainsaws and a wizard, you're going to lose more players, and then you're going to end up with 6 Skaven on the pitch, and you start sweating at that point. What else have we got here? Ashley Rogers says, do Skaven ever really need stars? If so, which? He said, I was thinking more specifically whether in a tournament format, say 1.1 million, would you go for them over runners, rat ogres, or rerolls? I see them rarely used in tournaments, maybe because runners are stars by themselves. Well, you know what, Ashley? I think that is basically sums up what we said, Ben.
Yeah, honestly.
Yeah.
Your team is full of star players anyway.
You don't need them. Ian Triplo, should you take a wizard? We've covered that as well, which is cool. Stuart Shelley says, I want to know what happened to my candidacy to join the Council of 13. Who does a rat have to surreptitiously drown in a canal around here to get the bribe package into the right clause? I can't really answer that on the air because I'd be in danger. And then we've got 2 absolute doozies of a question here. We've got one from Benny Bartes and Stephen Loud that says the role of Skaven in Underworld rosters. So I think Underworld, now we've got the new Gutterworld roster, deserves an episode of its own. But what I would say is that everything we've said here really applies. Your blitzers can hurt or they can support. Your line rats can do anything you want them to do, but they might catch fire and die. Throwers are great. They do an okay job of helping your gutter runners and being gutter runners at a pinch, and your gutter runners can just be amazing. But if you only had one of each on a team, I would probably say that your blitzer kills things. Your thrower enables the rest of your team by being the ball manager. The gutter runner does the scoring, and your rest of your line rats just fill in. As far as Underworld goes.
Yeah, they do play slightly differently. Not quite the same sort of canon that they are in Skaven.
Really interesting one. But then I like Skaven because you get 4 gutters and you get 4 opportunities to develop individual stars. Having just one on a team, they already are the star player of that team, the gutter runner. Ben, you and I saw that when we played our games with the gutter world roster. Until mine caught a goblin in his skull. That was absolutely brutal. And this is the coolest question we have, which was from Manifested Miniatures. Said, any thoughts on Skaven-centered game modes and clan teams? So there are a bunch of Skaven rosters in the Secret League. There's basically one team for each of the clans. So Scryer, Moulder, Eshin, Pestilence, and more. Is it the Storm Vermin one?
Oh, anyway. Yeah, I always forget that one.
So those teams are really cool. You can check them out. They play differently. I don't know enough about them from playing them. I played against the Pestilence one, and I think I actually managed to win with my Chaos Halflings. That was a fun, horrible build with a couple of ball and chains without secret weapon. So they do some serious damage. There's 2 things I want to say about this. I love the idea of having limited themed leagues. I'm doing it with zombies at the moment, and actually having a Skaven league would be sweet using secret teams. But secondly, Skaven are probably the team that is the most primed to have themed or alternate rosters. I don't know what you think about this, Ben, but look at the Skaven roster. If you swapped, even if all you did was swap the amount of blitzers you were allowed with the amount of gutter runners you were allowed, that would be a massively different team.
Definitely, 100%. It'll really play into the bash. Then, you could take the Rat Ogre build
without feeling like you're missing anything.
Yeah,
and I think that's what I'd love to see Games Workshop do. I know it would upset a whole load of people, but actually having a Eshin Skaven roster with no blitzers, no rat ogres, but up to 6 gutter runners or something like that, and then having a Clan Moors one where there's no gutter runners, but you can have up to 4 blitzers, or having a what's the beast one? The beast team, the beast
These clan.
Yeah, Molder. You know, again,
Right.
probably
Oh, no,
no
it's
gutter runners, but you get many rat ogres or something like that. This is the biggest opportunity for Games Workshop to use the same miniatures, the same rules, change up the player quantities, and have a new team immediately. They did a cool thing with OWA, but actually just having alternate rosters would be really interesting, and we should probably try that out on Fumble. You know, I'd be well up for a Skaven League where we just change the rosters. In fact, guys out there listening, if you're still listening after 2 hours of Skaven nonsense, let us know your thoughts on some teams that you could rejig the quantities and the positionals to come up with a variable format. I think that'd be really cool. I think that'd be really cool.
Definitely give that a go. You know, I've got my still got my pirates to finish up, so being able to rejig those around would be awesome.
I've got Richard's pirates now as well, so I've.
Oh yeah, perfect.
Yeah,
tabletop.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. Ben, I think that wraps it up for everything I needed to say about Skaven and everything we had question-wise. I think we've covered now.
Not a lot then.
Yeah, I know. Anything you wanted to add on Skaven before we wrap up for episode 48?
No, I just think they're one of the. Just in summary, I just think they're one of the funniest sort of races in Warhammer lore, and I think in Blood Bowl they only play into that.
Yeah.
While also being a serious threat, and I think that's why I like them, because you can take such a silly team and still do really well with it.
It's thematic, it's fragile, but it is a challenge. It is a challenge, and it's, you know, I would probably rank Skaven the third best team in the game. And I think that's behind Dark Elves and Wood Elves. Yeah, I think they've just got more goodness, whereas Skaven have got plenty of goodness, but they're fragile. They can lose games. You can beat a Skaven team. It's going to be a tough game, but you can beat a Skaven team with any team. It's probably the best team that you know you can beat before it gets like, Wood Elves, I'm going to lose this game. Hope it doesn't take long. At Skaven, it's like, ooh, I could lose this game, but I might not. It's just, I'd like that. And a Skaven versus Skaven match, oh, now you're talking. That's just my kind of Blood Bowl at that point. Yeah, absolutely love it. Okay, so that will be all for episode 48. Join us again in a couple of weeks' time for episode 49, where we are going to be talking through your wizard and spell ideas, along with a second segment that I'm not sure we've agreed yet. So something else. Yes, I think by the time this podcast airs, it is the last day you can get your spell ideas into us. So that gives me and Ben a little chance to read through what we had 60 pages of big guys before.
Yeah,
the spells are looking up there. It's so cool.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Yeah,
it's so cool. So yeah, join us for that, and then it's going to be episode 50. So it would be very lovely if Snotlings landed for episode 50. Otherwise, we'll come up with some cool stuff to do, because 50 episodes is pretty sweet. That's quite a good milestone.
Yeah.
It's not 100, but we'll get there in a couple of years. So that's pretty cool. Right, Ben, thank you ever so much for chatting rats. I really loved it. It was wicked.
Yeah, same.
And
love it, rat.
I'm pretty sure on the YouTube channel there's a load of games of me actually playing Skaven. So if you want to see how Skaven can be played, join that, have a look at our YouTube, or just come and join me on stream sometimes talking about stream. Hopefully for the next few weeks, Sundays and Tuesday streams should be back to normal. I'm going to try and drag these boys on if I can and get some hobby done. I've been really enjoying the hobby hangout on Sunday night.
Oh, it's great fun. It's really good fun.
It's really cool, and it's nice to see all the people watching just joining in and painting along and asking questions. It's really cool, really cool. So everybody out there, thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much for participating. Thank you very much for loving Blood Bowl, and we will see you in a couple of weeks. Ben, see you for now.
Bye bye.
See you guys.